Hi, welcome back guys, this is your friend Caller. What if with another fiction? What if Deku's journey with an irresistible quirk? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. It was a normal day at a local preschool when suddenly a young boy started shooting sparks from his hands. Wow, Kakin, that looks so cool, Kid Izuku said as he looked at his friend's hands. Wow, so this is my quirk, huh? I guess it is pretty cool, especially if you say it is. Izuku, Kakin said as more kids gathered around them to see Katsuki's quirk. Your quirk is cool, said one kid. Mine's not flashy like that. Mine either, said a girl classmate. I wish I had a quirk like that. Then Izuku would praise me, the girl said with a sad look on her face. No wait, I think all quirks are cool. I'm just excited to see one pop up in front of me, Izuku said. The students then cheered for Izuku and began to crowd him, and he soon found himself in the center of a group hug. Kids, calm down, don't make Izuku uncomfortable, the teacher said as she picked him up from the rest of the preschoolers. Izuku smiled at her and she couldn't help but smile back while asking, "Are you okay, sweetheart?" "I'm okay," Izuku said while everyone else was giving a big smile. He didn't realize it at the moment, but everyone didn't gather up to see Katsuki's new quirk. The truth is they all came because Izuku was there. Why did they want to be around him? Simple, because of his quirk. Izuku's mom and co would pick him up that day while smother him. Not that was weird since recently she had been acting that way. Sure, she was always loving with him before, but she soon started acting extra loving, which she found strange. Izuku was now 4 and he hadn't shown any sign of manifesting a quirk. Inko got worried. Her son wasn't showing signs of a quirk, and she knew how bad he wanted to be a hero like his idol All Might. But as the time for his doctor appointment approached, worry began to fill her mind. Good news, the doctor said. Your son is definitely getting a quirk. X-rays of him show that he only has one joint in his pinky toe, which is a sign of quirks. If you wish to know what kind of quirk he has, then we'll have to do an extra test. Inko looked surprised and said, "Well, okay, as long as it's not too painful." She hugged Izuku closely. "Don't worry, ma'am," said the doctor. "It won't." "Please, mommy, can we?" Izuku said, and Inko completely gave in after that. The doctor took a blood sample and said they will have the results next week. And just as he promised, the doctor called next week with Izuku's quirk results. And boy was Inko surprised. Turns out not only did he have a quirk, but she had been affected by it for some time now. The doctor explained his quirk details. Name, Izuku Midoriya. Quirk name, active pheromones. Quirk function, unscented pheromones are released from the host body passively. The pheromones affect the person who inhaled them minds, making the person love the host unconditionally. But the type of love depends on person's gender and or sexual orientation. Wow, Dr. Inko said that's his quirk. I thought he would get something similar to me or my husband. I know it seems odd, but these things happen more often than you think. I mean, the first people to get quirks didn't get them from their parents, you know, the doctor said. All right, Inko said. Well, thanks for the information. Good being with that, she hung up the phone. Inko sat there for a moment. She thought to herself that this explained a lot of things, like the fact that she had been spoiling Izuku so much that she was practically smothering him. Not that she wasn't always a doting mother, but she had started to be extra doting for some reason, and now she knew the reason. She thought about what to tell him. She wanted to make sure he was going to be happy to hear it. After all, she believes her son deserves the absolute best. When Izuku heard this, he had mixed feelings about it. At first he was sad, since he didn't have a quirk that was good for fighting like All Might or other pro heroes. But after thinking about it, he realized that there's more to being a hero than just fighting. There was also popularity. After all, the hero Endeavor was known for taking out many villains, and yet he was only number 2. All Might, on the other hand, took out villains while bringing joy to people he saved, which made him number 1. Izuku realized that with his quirk and some fighting training, he could be the top pro hero just like All Might. He also realized that his quirk meant no one would ever be mean to him again, like when Kakin called him Deku one time. But not long after he apologized, filled his face as his mother gave him a big hug. Izuku's preschool and kindergarten life went back to normal. He was still smothered by the other kids, but he learned to cope with it. Then his elementary school years came around, and that's when things started to change. At first, it went like a normal school life, but as he interacted with more people, he found himself with more and more friends. Izuku knew that they were only interested in him because of his quirk, so he didn't give them much thought. There was only one person he considered a true friend. That was Katsuki, who he had been friends with since before his quirk showed up. Their friendship was big enough for them to regularly come to each other's houses. Katsuki would come to hang out and enjoy Inko's cooking, and Izuku would go to Katsuki's to train their quirks. Izuku had also learned that his quirk could become ineffective somehow. After a hard workout, Izuku got home late and his mother scolded him for staying out too long. Izuku Midoriya, how dare you stay out past curfew? Inko said. I am sorry, Mom, please calm down. Izuku said. Don't tell me what to do, Izuku. Just go clean yourself up and go straight to bed. Inko said. What about dinner? Asked Izuku. There won't be any, it's part of your punishment. Inko said. Izuku signed and went to take a shower. After he did, he walked to his room and ran into his mother on the way. He told her that he was sorry and told her good night, but she grabbed him by the shoulder and looked ashamed. No, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I should have never yelled at you. Please let me make it up to you by making your favorite food. Inko said. As sure, Mom. Izuku said he couldn't believe it. Before his shower, his mom was really upset with him, but then after his shower, she begs for forgiveness. Maybe because when he was sweating, his pheromones were being blocked. And after he got cleaned up, they got unblocked. This info would come in handy, he thought to himself. The next day, while training at Katsuki's house, Izuku had a little talk with him. Hey Kaken, can I ask you something? Izuku asked. Yeah, what is it? Katsuki said. When we were younger, you once called me Deku. Why? Izuku asked. Katsuki got a nervous look and said, oh that. I called you that because I was starting to think that you were useless, which is what Deku meant. I mean, you didn't have a quirk at the time, so it seemed like the name fit you. But I see now that I was wrong. I'm sorry for calling you that. Izuku grabbed his shoulder. Don't be. To be honest, I didn't know you were saying to be mean. I thought you were just trying to give me a nickname, like how I call you Kaken. You know, you can call me Deku if you want. Katsuki looked confused. What why? I told you it means useless. Why would you want to be called that? Because I want to change the meaning of the word. It may mean useless, no, but when I'm done with it, it will mean the opposite, Izuku said with a cheerful look on his face. Oh okay, if that's what you want, Deku, Katsuki said as he and Izuku laughed. That's when Katsuki's mom came outside. Hey Katsuki, his mom snapped. I thought I told you to clean your room before you came to play. Well, you must have thought wrong. Katsuki snapped back. Also, we're not playing, we're training. I don't care what you're doing, just stop and go clean your room, she said, pointing to the door. Sure, right after you start making lunch, Katsuki said. The two continued to argue with each other until Izuku decided to put an end to it. You guys stop, he yelled. They stopped and turned to him. How about instead of arguing, you guys just do what each other said and then everyone can be happy, Izuku said as sternly as he could. The two looked embarrassed and then spoke. As sorry Izu, I mean Deku, just got carried away, Katsuki said. Yeah, I'm sorry too, Izuku. Katsuki's mom said, please let me make it up to you. Tell me what your favorite food is. I'm sure I can make it, she said to Izuku. Yeah, and while you do that, I'll go clean my room. After that, we can continue training, Katsuki said, trying to make things better. Great idea, Kaken. And I would also like it if your mom cooked for us, Izuku said happily. Both Katsuki and his mom both looked happy. Katsuki gave him a fist bump, while his mom just gave him a hug. It felt a little weird, but he learned how to accept that kind of behavior. After that, Katsuki went to clean his room while his mom went to make them lunch. After their meal, the two finished their training for the day and Izuku went home. This went on for a while, until the day came. It was time for Izuku and Katsuki's first day of middle school. That's when Izuku started to realize that his quirk was a bit of an annoying one, especially once puberty kicked in. It was alright at first. Middle seemed like elementary school. He still had a lot of people who wanted to be his friend, but something else began to arise, and it specifically involved the girls in his school. It started off with just a few simple hellos, but as he interacted with more students, the more his quirk affected. It wasn't long before Izuku started getting stares from some girls. Soon after, Izuku would started finding love letters in his locker. Some of the letters would tell him to meet with the girl, which he did, so that could confess to him. Izuku was flattered by this attention, but he never accepted any of the girls since he knew that they were only interested in his quirk, not him. After all, most of the girls that said they liked him didn't even speak to him before running into him in the hallway or something similar. And even when he rejected them, they still clung to him and fought for his affection constantly. And that was just at school. Outside of school was really uncomfortable. When Izuku was at home, his mom would constantly smother him and ask him about his day. She even asked him about the girls in his school and pulled out some love letters she found in his jacket. Izuku was surprised. He didn't realize that the girls were starting to put them in his jacket. He told his mom that he wasn't interested in any of them, but she continued to tease him on he was a ladies' man, how handsome he was, especially with his physique, but that was nothing compared to what happened at Bakugo House. It started when Katsuki's mom started joining them for their training. She even went jogging with them. She also cooking more often, especially when Izuku was coming over, and then she went afar one day when Izuku came over, she answered the door and she was dressed like she was going to a gala or something. Oh, Mrs. Bakugo, you look nice. Are you and your husband going out? Izuku asked while blushing. No, I just got dressed to look nice for you, she said, smiling at him. That night was truly awkward, especially when their meal was served. Mrs. Bakugo sat next to Izuku and fed him like he was a baby. She had always been kind to him, but now things were getting too far. And the look on Katsuki and his father's face said it all. When it was time for him to leave, Mrs. Bakugo offered Izuku to sleep over, and even offered to let him sleep in the master's bedroom with her. This was the last thing Izuku needed to realize, that he and Bakugo should probably start training somewhere else. Bakugo tried to convince his mom but had no luck. When Izuku stepped up, however, she immediately gave in. Hey, Kaken, sorry I made all this happen, Izuku said. Don't worry, Deku. It's not your fault. Let's just focus on improving our skills. We only got 3 more years to prepare after all, Katsuki said while holding his fist out. Yeah, you're right. Let's do it, Izuku said as they first bumped each other. After 2 years, Izuku and Katsuki's grew exceptionally. Katsuki was now strong enough to withstand his explosions with hurting himself, and Izuku, even though his quirk hadn't changed, his skills had. He was now strong enough to keep up with Katsuki, and he also picked up some fighting skills from Katsuki. The time had come for Izuku and Katsuki's last year of middle school. They both knew what they wanted to do, apply for UA. Izuku was exciting, but little did he know that this year he would encounter someone who would change his life forever, someone who he looked up to and wanted to be like. That person was no other than the #1 hero, All Might. Deku woke up to the sound of his alarm as another day. Time to go to middle school and then come straight back home. Now you would think that with a quirk like his he would be a people person, but no, he has chosen to shut himself off from the world, most of it anyway. He didn't want to be distracted by all those people. He wanted to focus entirely on becoming a hero. So he would normally go to the woods to train with Katsuki. But today he wanted to got ready for school and went to the kitchen where he found his mom making his favorite breakfast. Morning, sweetheart. Ready for breakfast? Inko asked with a smile on her face as Deku sat down. Yeah, Mom, I'm hungry, but I'm sure you'll take care of that, Deku said as he saw the spread of food. There was bacon, eggs, and toast. His mom would always go overboard like this. I sure will, baby. Just let me finish making these pancakes for you, then we can eat together, Inko said as she turned her attention to the stove. Deku just sat there and thought to himself how his life was like because of his quirk. His outside life was kind of a mess, but he had to admit his home life was great. When he was 8, his mom got a part-time. Deku was training at Katsuki's house. She would work at a local diner as a cook, which was a really good job for her thanks to her quirk and cooking skills. It wasn't long before she got promoted to head cook and received a raise. Once that happened, she couldn't help but focus all her money on her baby. While Deku's father was away making money to support his family, Inko felt it was her responsibility to make up for his absence by giving Deku all the love she could. She was constantly buying him new gifts. She bought ingredients to make the best meals. She would always say how much she loved him and how proud his father would be of him if he could see him. She had also been inspired by Deku's dedication to his training, so she began to exercise like him, and Deku had to admit his mom looked good for her age. Baby, are you okay? Inko asked as she placed the pancakes on the table. It's nothing, Mom. Just thinking about what I'm gonna do today. That's all, Deku said while in his head he was beating himself up for having those thoughts about his own mother. Haha, you're so much like your father. Inko laughed, always planning ahead. It's one of the reasons why I married him. You really love Dad, don't you, Mom? Deku asked. Of course I do. You may be too young to remember, but before he left, he couldn't stop showing his love for you. He always talked about how you were destined for greatness and become an amazing man. I know if he were here, he would be the proudest father in the world. Inko said. You're probably right, Mom. Anyway, let's finish this quickly. I got to get to school, Deku said. After breakfast, Deku headed to the door, but was stopped by his mom so she could hug him goodbye, which she overdid just a bit. If it wasn't for his newfound strength, he would have never gotten out. He then made his way towards school. On his way, he got stopped by a villain attack. The pros were struggling against the giant villain, but the day was saved with the debut of the new giant heroine. All the reporters were taking pictures of her, especially the male ones. Deku meanwhile was writing in his journal about her and her powers. Deku had been writing in his journal ever since his quirk showed up. He used it to keep track of heroes and villains' powers and weaknesses. Deku then looked up to see that was posing for the cameras. He felt an urge to take one as well. But when he took out his phone, he saw the time and realized he had been held up for too long. He quickly went through the crowd and rushed to school, barely making it before the late bell. All right, class. The homeroom teacher said you're all third-year students. You know what that means. It's time to start thinking about career paths. I have some of these career sheets for you guys, but I'm not going to pass them out because I know that you all want to go into hero courses, right? The class cheered as they showed off their quirks, while Deku simply raised his hand while scolding his classmates in his head for using their quirks in school. Love the enthusiasm, the teacher said. But seriously, stop it. That is against school rules. Everyone quickly calmed down. And that's when a certain ash blonde spoke up. Yo, teach, Katsuki said, sitting beside Deku. Don't get their hopes up too much. If anyone is gonna get into a hero course, it's gonna be me, not these extras. Everyone started to complain about Katsuki's attitude, but everyone stopped to listen when Deku spoke up. Everyone stop. All your quirks are great, but this behavior is not especially Yukakan. You need to apologize for what you said. It's completely unheroic and unacceptable. The class all calmed down and looked embarrassed of themselves. Even the teacher looked ashamed, even though he wasn't part of the argument. We're sorry, Izuku. A girl student said. Yeah, we all got carried away. A male student said. It's okay guys, let's just move on with our day. Deku said. Good idea, Deku. Katsuki said you and I need to start studying for the UA exams after all. UA, the class exclaimed in unison. Awa, there's no way I can get in there. That's not fair. I wanted to go to high school with Izuku. A girl said, looking upset. The whole class was once again feeling down, but Deku was able to cheer them up again. And the rest of the day went by quickly. School was over and Deku was getting ready to leave when Katsuki approached him. Hey Deku, me and the guys are heading to the arcade. Wanna come? Katsuki asked. No thanks, I'm tired, I just wanna go home and relax. Aw come dude, said one of their friends, are always finding an excuse to go home. Why do you have to be such a shut-in? Hey, Katsuki snapped. The guy said he's busy, let him do what he needs to do. Alright, I'm sorry Izuku, the boy said nervously. That's okay, now I head home, I'm sure my mom has food waiting for me. Deku said. Dude, if my mom was as hot as yours, I'd eat anything she'd make for me. The other boy said with a smirk. Deku hit him on the head and the boy begged for forgiveness. Deku accepted his apology and picked up his book back. I'll see you guys later. And with that Deku left school, reading his journal while waking home. He decided that he would take a shortcut home. It was a route under a bridge. He kept waking until he heard a strange noise. There was a manhole cover shaking until it flew open and out came some sort of sludge. When the cover flew off, some of the sludge splashed on Deku. He then looked to see some sort of sludge monster. A medium-sized vessel for me. Don't mind if I do, the villain said. No, wait do, Deku said before the villain's sludge began to enter his mouth. He tried to fight back, but he just wasn't strong enough. He almost passed out. That's when something flew out of the manhole once again, and the Deku heard the words, Texas, smash. After that, a gust of wind blew over Deku. It caused the sludge villain to burst and splatter all over. The figure began to pick up the pieces of the villain, while Deku managed to get a good look at the figure. All Might, Deku said in awe, his idol. The #1 hero was here, not to mention just saved him. He had so many questions for him, not to mention he wanted an autograph. There we go, All Might said as he put the last of the sludge in a bottle. Are you hurt, young man? He asked. And no sir, Deku said. Good, but I'm sure you've smelled better. Must be that sludge water that came out of the hole, All Might said. Deku realized that he was right. He was covered in sewage, which meant his quirk wasn't working. He was talking to his idol with his quirk. He didn't know if that was good or bad. He quickly asked All Might for his autograph, which he did while also coughing a little bit. Well, it was nice meeting you. All Might said. My name is Izuku Midoriya, sir. Deku said. Okay, Izuku Midoriya, I must be off. Farewell. All Might was preparing to leave when Deku realized he still had a question for him. He quickly grabbed onto his leg as All Might leaped into the air. When they landed on a rooftop, Deku collapsed on the floor. He noticed that all the wind from that jump had blown off the sewage. He turned to ask All Might his question, but was shocked to see a puff of smoke. And when it cleared, there stood a skinny-looking man that resembled All Might. Who are you? Where's All Might? Deku asked in shock. Well, looks like I got some explaining to do, the man said. The two had a conversation. The man explained how he was All Might, but this was his true form, and showed him his injury he got years ago. While Deku explained his quirk and how All Might shouldn't get too close to him, he then asked All Might his question. All Might, sir, he said, can I become a pro hero like you? All Might thought for a moment and said, sure kid, maybe not one of the top pro heroes like me, but you can definitely become a good pro hero. This filled Deku with joy. His idol told him that he could be a pro hero, not the #1 hero, but a hero nonetheless. After that, All Might said goodbye as he made his way to the door. Deku soon followed and the two went their separate ways, or so it seemed. As Deku continued on his way home, he noticed a crowd in the Tatooine Market Center. He made his way to the front where he saw the sludge villain from before holding a hostage. He looked closely to see that it was Katsuki. His face went pale. He realized that this must have happened when he grabbed hold of All Might. The bottle must have dropped. The villain got out and was now holding his best friend hostage. Deku looked around to see the pro heroes in the area were doing nothing. Why are they just standing there? He thought to himself, Kachin is in trouble, they should be saving him. Deku's mind then went blank. And the next thing he knew, he was jumping over the caution tape and straight for the villain. Kid, stop, one of the bystanders said. Someone get that boy, one of the pro heroes said. Deku went towards the villain and leaped at him with all his strength. He then reached in to save Katsuki. The sludge villain was about to snatch him, but for some reason he couldn't bring himself to harm the boy. What's wrong with me? He thought to himself. This is the same beat from before. Why do I suddenly care about his well-being? This distraction allowed Deku to pull Katsuki out of the villain. The two landed on the floor and began to run towards the crowd. The villain tried to reach for Katsuki, but that's when a figure dropped from the sky and bellowed, "I am here." The villain was taken aback with All Might's appearance. He tried to wrap him up with his sludge, but All Might simply shrugged it off. That's when he charged at the villain and threw a punch while shouting, "Detroit Smash." This attack completely blew the villain away, while the wind pressure from the attack also changed the weather. With the villain's defeat and arrest, reporters began to swarm All Might, while Deku was being commended by the other pro-heroes for his bravery. Wait, you guys are angry? Deku asked. Yes, we are, one of the heroes said, but we're also proud of you for being brave. But seriously though, you shouldn't put yourself in danger like that again, at least not until you're a pro. Yes, sir, Deku said. Good, said a female voice. Deku looked up to see that it was the rookie hero. I'm really glad you didn't get hurt, she said as she got closer to him. Yeah, Deku said, starting to blush. I should probably get home now. That's when grabbed his shoulder and said, you know, if you become a pro, you're more than welcome to come be a sidekick at my agency, she said, smiling at him. Yeah, I might take you up on that. Deku quickly got up and left, while the other pros just started in confusion. Hey, new girl. One of them said if I didn't know any better I'd say you were just flirting with that kid. What? I wasn't flirting, she snapped back, although I will say, he was pretty cute. The other pros just stood there rolling their eyes. Deku continued home. When he was almost there, he was stopped by Katsuki, who thanked him for saving him, and to be more careful from now on. Okay, Kaken, but if you're in trouble again, I can't make any promises, Deku said. No, Deku, Katsuki said. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if something happened to you because of me. Promise me you won't do it again. Sorry, Kaken, but I can't make a promise like that. You're my best friend. If you're ever in trouble, of course I'll try to help, Deku said. Thanks, Deku, Katsuki said with tears in his eyes. We'll see at school, Kaken, Deku said, smiling. Yeah, see you at school, Katsuki said as he walked off to his house. Deku had just begun walking when a figure dropped from the sky and shouted, I am here. What? Deku said as he took a step back. That's when All Might got surrounded by smoke and Deku once again saw the true form of his idol. What are you doing here, sir? Deku asked while All Might wipes blood from his mouth. I'm here to inform my successor of his responsibilities, he said with a smile on his face. What do you mean successor? Deku asked. All Might explained that he was actually quirkless and that this power he has is actually called One for All. He told Deku that he has been chosen to be the 9th holder of the power. Deku took some time to process this information, then asked All Might a question. Are you only doing this because of my quirk? Deku asked. No, I mean yeah, now that I'm close I can feel your quirk's effect on me, but that's not what made me choose you. That happened when I saw you save your friend from the villain from inside the crowd. You clearly have the heart of a hero, not to mention you seem like a strong fighter. Please accept my power, young Midoriya, and I will turn you into the next symbol of peace, All Might said, bowing his head. Oh, okay, sir, I accept. Deku with tears in his eyes. He couldn't believe what was happening. He had been chosen by All Might without his quirk. He was now gonna train with All Might to inherit his power. All Might told him to meet him at Takoba Beach in 2 days to begin his training. Deku agreed and the two went their separate ways. Wow, I can't believe this. I always wanted to be a hero like All Might, and now I'm gonna be trained by him and inherit his power. Nothing could ruin this moment, Deku thought to himself as he entered his home. When he walked into the living room, he saw his mom sitting on the couch watching the news about the villain attack. She looked horrified when Deku appeared on the screen to battle the villain. Hi mom, Deku said sheepishly. Inko quickly turned her head, her eyes filled with tears, as she quickly ran to hug Deku. Oh, my baby, I'm so glad you're safe, Inko said. Okay, moments ruined, Deku thought to himself as his mom continued to smother him. And so, this was Deku's first step to becoming the next symbol of peace. With only 10 months left of middle school, and his dream of going to UA High School, how will Deku prepare for the challenges that await him? Find out next time. It was 5 a.m. in the morning. Deku knew what day it was, his first day of training with All Might. He told his mom that he was getting up early for something, so she left him a breakfast bar on the table. Deku ate at 8, headed to the beach. Deku arrived at the beach, which looked more like a junkyard. There were mountains of trash everywhere. It's no wonder hardly anyone ever came here. Deku walked along the beach looking for All Might and he found him, but not in form he was known for. So this really is your true look, huh? Deku said. Sure is, but enough about me, let's talk about you and your training. All Might said. So what, I'm gonna climb up this garbage or something? Deku asked. Close but no. All Might said you're gonna be cleaning this place up. Wait, what? Deku asked in shocked. Yeah, you need to clean all this up to make your body strong enough to handle One for All. All Might said. But sir, I'm already strong, Deku said. But not strong enough. One for All is a powerful quirk, but it's also a dangerous one, All Might said. If I give it to you now, your body may not be able to handle it, and your arms and legs will burst off. Deku got a shiver from hearing that. He agreed to All Might's workout plan, as well as his diet that he recommended to him. I call it my American dream plan, All Might said with pride. He then changed into his buff form and said, well, young Midoriya, shall we begin? With a smirk on his face, Deku raised his hand in the air and said, yes, sir. I only have 10 months till the UA entrance exams, and if this is what I have to do, then so be it. When All Might heard UA, he remembered that he was going to be a teacher there, but he decided not to tell Deku. That would ruin the surprise for him. From that point on, Deku would push himself to the limit all day. Every would go to school, and instead of going to train with Katsuki, he would go move trash off the beach. He had to tell Katsuki that he was doing some special personal training to keep him from getting suspicious, which technically wasn't a lie, and it seemed to work. He also told it to his mom and anyone else who asked him why he was always so tired. Everyone at his school can tell that whatever he was doing, it was effective, since his already muscular physique soon became more muscular. All Might arrived at the beach in his truck one day to check Deku's progress. When he got there, he couldn't believe his eyes. The whole area he told Deku to clean up, as long as the entire beach was trash-free. He walked over to find Deku standing on top of a pile of trash, yelling at the top of his lungs. Deku had not only cleared the beach, but he did it in only 5 months. Changing into his buff form, All Might said, young Midoriya, I am impressed with you. You have successfully cleaned the beach. Now you are ready to inherit my quirk. Deku came down to All Might with a bright smile and said, really? Awesome. How do I inherit it? All Might plucked a hair from his head and said, eat this. Wah. Deku would have nightmares about that day for the rest of his life. A few hours after he ate the hair, Deku felt different. He felt stronger. All Might knew what was happening and decided to give Deku some advice on how to use one for all. Young Midoriya, if you want to use your power at its max, clench your butt cheeks and yell out smash. Try it on that old car. Deku took All Might's advice and managed to create a power smash, similar to All Might's Detroit Smash. However, Deku quickly noticed that he couldn't feel his arm anymore. He looked at it and saw it was broken. Apparently, All Might forgot to tell him that using his power at full force had some drawbacks. All Might took Deku to his friend Recovery Girl to heal his arm and told him to start off slowly and focus on increasing his max percentage of one for all. At first, Deku simply kept throwing smashes at the ocean, making sure not to use too much power. Some time after, Deku realized that he was getting nowhere with his new quirk. He was simply using it in one place, but he knew that wouldn't be enough in battle. That's when Deku got an idea. Instead of focusing it on one area, he would treat one for all like his pheromones. He would try to send it out all over his body, and when he did, he saw that he was surrounded by green lighting, and he felt much stronger. The next day, Deku showed off his new technique to All Might. I call it full cowling. Deku said, what do you think, All Might? Very impressive, young Midoriya. All Might said, but I can tell by looking at you that you are only using 5% of one for all. You must now focus on increasing your percentage and control of it. Deku agreed and continued to train with full cowling. Before long, he started noticing that something was happening with his pheromone quirk. The girls that had claimed they liked him began to cling to him even more. He even caught one trying to follow him home. Deku realized that one for all was somehow enhancing his pheromones and making people love him more. He also noticed that using one for all increased his pheromone range, like when he accidentally used full cowling during PE class, and a couple of girls that were on the other side of the gym came over to flirt with him. Deku realized that he needed to make sure to keep one for all under control when he was around people, or else things would get really weird. The remaining months passed by and it was now time for the UA exam. All Might had met with Deku to see how he was doing. Deku explained that he had managed to increase his average full cowling percentage to 15% and could go to 20% in short bursts. All Might praised Deku and told him to get to UA quickly. Deku said goodbye to All Might and headed off to UA. Deku approaches the gates of UA with confidence and joy. He ran into Katsuki at the gate, and the two fist bump each other. They walked towards the entrance while talking about how they prepared for the exams. Deku suddenly tripped and almost fell on his face, but he found himself floating in the air. Sorry, I used my quirk on you without permission, a female voice said aside from him. Deku looked up to see a brunette holding her hands out while repositioning, noticed that she was pretty cute and seemed nice. Thanks for the help, he told her. No problem, I was Jew. The girl suddenly started to blush and stutter. No biggie, just he trying to do the right thing, she said, looking nervous. Both Deku and Katsuki knew what was happening. Deku signed and said, well, we should probably head inside now, or we'll be late. You're totally right, let's do that. See you inside, she said as she walked away with her cheeks still blushing red. You've done it again, Deku, Katsuki said with a smirk. So you gonna turn her down too? Maybe I should, she's clearly into me because of my quirk after all, Deku said. But she saved you, and I'm pretty sure your quirk hadn't reached her by then, Katsuki said. Plus think about Deku. You can't keep shooting down girls forever. Sooner or later you're gonna have to choose a chick to date. Also, if you do, maybe the rest of the girls might start leaving you alone. Or maybe they won't. Either way, it's my decision, Kaken," Deku said and pointed towards the building. "Let's just go take our exams already." "Okay, if you say so," Katsuki said as the two made their way into the building and into the auditorium. That's where the famous present Mike gave everyone the written exams. After that, he explained the rules of the practical exam and told everyone to head to their designated area. Deku and Katsuki got put in separate areas. They high-fived each other and went to their battlegrounds for the tests. Deku went to the training ground for the exams. It was basically a replica city, which was a good way to prepare them for a real life. He got there. He saw the girl who saved him earlier. He was about to say hi when he was stopped by a tall blue-haired boy with glasses. "Hey, do not ruin her focus. Pay attention to the exam right now," he scolded him. Deku said okay and got himself ready, but that when the boy apologized for scolding him and wished him good luck. Deku accepted this with a sigh, and that's when they heard present Mike on the speakers. "Everyone ready. Start." But no one moved. "What are you doing? There are no countdowns in real situations. Go." Everyone then charged into the training ground, but they were caught off guard when a green blue ran by them. It was Deku. Using full cowling at 15%, he managed to get ahead of everyone, even the blue-haired boy that had exhaust pipes on his calves. When he came across some two-pointers, he simply used his fingers to make a Delaware smash, which completely destroyed the two-pointers. Deku also used one for all to leap on the rooftops to get a better view of the battlefield. This allowed him to find where more two-pointers, as long as some three-pointers were. Some time went by and present Mike announced there were only 5 minutes left. Deku calculated he had about 94 points. He wanted to get at least 100. He was just about to head towards some three-pointers when there was rumble in the area. Deku looked for the source and saw that there was a giant robot, about 100 feet tall, moving through the area. "So that's the zero-pointer robot. Honestly, I think it's a bit too much," Deku said. He then saw all the other participants run from the robot. He was just about to flee as well, but that's when he heard a cry for help. "Help," a voice said from nearby. Deku looked at where the voice came from. It was the brunette girl that saved him from falling earlier. She was trapped under some rubble and the zero-pointer was approaching her quickly. "Oh no, she's gonna get crushed if she doesn't get out of the way," Deku thought to himself. Then without thinking, he started moving towards the girl at top speed. When he got to her, he lifted the rumble off her legs and she got out quickly. "Run," Deku told her. "I'll take care of the robot." "How?" she asked as she stood up. "Like this." Deku then charged 20% of one for all in his legs and leaped up at the robot. He then charged 20% in his arm, but then thought that 20% wasn't enough. So taking a risk, he charged 30% in his arm and shouted, "Detroit SMAASH." The robot was pushed back by the punch. It then fell backwards and landed on its back with a big dent on its torso. Everyone watched in awe, while the blue-haired boy thought to himself, "Why didn't he run? Did he know something we didn't?" After that, Deku landed on the ground. His arm wasn't broken, but it was sore. That's when the girl he saved spoke up. "Wow, you just took down that big robot. That's so cool." She said, "You also saved me, so thanks," she said, blushing. "Don't mention it," Deku said. That's when present Mike said through the speakers that time was up. The girl apologized for taking up his time, but Deku told her that it was fine and he was happy to help her. After that, recovery girl came and healed Deku's injuries while scolding him for hurting himself. After that, Deku made his way towards the exit where he met up with Katsuki. "Hey Deku, how did it go?" Katsuki asked. "Pretty well. Last time I checked I had 95 points. Deku said. "What, no way?" Katsuki exclaimed. "I got 76. You beat my score. What kind of training did you do? And how did your quirk get so strong?" Deku told Katsuki what he told everyone, the excuse he and All Might came up with. How he learned how to use his pheromones like fuel to enhance his muscles, which increases his strength. He also explained that the wind pressure was created by releasing his pheromones at a high rate in certain parts of his body. Everyone seemed to believe him, but then again everyone liked him so much they practically believed everything he said. A week passed and Deku was waiting for his acceptance letter. He was pretty sure he got in. After all, he almost got 100 points. That's when his mother came into the living room with a letter in her hand. Deku took it to his room and opened it, and out came a disc that displayed a holographic video. Deku immediately recognized the person on the video. It was All Might. "Greeting, young Midoriya. I'm happy to tell you that you did extraordinary on both of the exams," All Might said. "I also want to congratulate you on getting first place. You got 95 hero points, and there was also a secret portion of the test called rescue points, which you earned 40. So you came in first with 135 points total. I look forward to seeing you in school, young Midoriya. See you then." The video ended with those words. Deku couldn't believe it. He was so happy tears began to form in his eyes. When he told his mom about it, she hugged him so hard that he collapsed on the floor. "And Mom, stop it. Deku said, trying to push her off. Sorry, sweetheart, Inko said with tears in her eyes. I'm just so proud of you. Let's celebrate by having a large meal. Inko then stood up and went to the kitchen before Deku could even answer her. Soon Inko made a full-course meal for Deku and the two began to eat. While he did, he thought about how lucky he is. He's going to the school of his dreams. He is the successor of his idol All Might. And he even got the high score on his exams. Deku knew he was on the path to becoming a hero. He just needed to keep working hard. Deku went to bed wondering what his first day will be like. He didn't know what was in store for him, but one thing is for sure, he definitely wasn't gonna have any trouble making friends. Deku woke up to his alarm clock. He saw what day it was and quickly got up to get ready for his first day at UA Academy. He still couldn't believe this was happening. He was going to UA, the best hero school in Japan. After he got dressed, he went to the kitchen where his mom was making breakfast. Hi baby, ready for breakfast, Inko said. Deku looked at the food that was on the table. As usual, it was a bit much. Yeah mom, but I'll have to eat fast. I don't want to be late for my first day after all, Deku said as he began to eat his pancakes. Don't worry sweetheart, you've got plenty of time. Which is good since I wanted to talk to you about school, Inko said as she sat down. What do you mean? Deku asked. I mean that I want you to have fun, but I also want you to promise me something. Promise me you won't fool around with any girls on your first day, Inko said with a smile on her face. Deku spit out the milk he was drinking. Mom, Deku said, then got a napkin to clean the milk. Inko laughed, then said, relax sweetheart, I'm just kidding. If you want to fool around, that's your choice. That's not what. I'll forget it. Deku sighed and continued to eat. After breakfast, Deku puts his shoes on and is about to walk out the door when his mother gets in the way. I knew this day would come, when my baby would start going to the best hero school in the country. Inko started to cry as she hugged her son with all her might. Thanks mom for always believing in me. Also thanks for everything else you do for me. I can't thank you enough. So, could you please let me go now? Inko came to her senses and realized that she should let her son get to school. I love you Izuku, Inko said. I love you more mom, Deku said as he walked out with a smile. He then made his way to the train station. He was crowded by strangers that were interested in him for obvious reasons, but he learned how to cope with that attention long ago. Deku walked up to the school. His head was filled with joy as he entered the building. He knew that his homeroom was Class 1A, so he began to search for that. He soon came across a large door and saw one on the door. This was it. He opened the door. At the first thing he saw was a familiar ash blonde being scolded by an also familiar blue-haired boy. Get your feet off the desk. It's disrespectful, the blue-haired boy said. Shut up. The ash blonde said, you don't tell me what to do. He right Kaken, you shouldn't do that, Deku said as he walked over. Hey Deku, you're here. Looks like we're in the same class, Katsuki said as the two fist bumped. That's when the blue-haired boy spoke to Deku. It's you. You're the one that got the high score and smashed the 0-pointer. The boy bowed and said, allow me to introduce myself. I am Tenya Ida. It's a pleasure to meet you. Deku got embarrassed by this. Katsuki just said, don't be surprised. He told me he came from Sumi Middle School, so this is normal for him. Deku was about to say something when he heard a voice from behind him. Hi, the voice said shyly. Deku turned to see it was the brunette from the entrance exam. Hey, it's you, Deku said happily. You're the one he saved me from falling. And then you tried to give me some of your points. The girl looked surprised. What? How did you? It was on my acceptance video. I saw how you begged them to let me have more points. I really appreciate your compassion. Don't mention it, Uraraka said, blushing even more. You deserve more points after you saved me from the 0-pointer robot. Deku then held out his hand for her. By the way, my name is Izuku Midoriya. What's your? The girl blushed as she gently shook his hand and said, and my name is Ochako Uraraka. As soon as she said that, they all heard a male voice come from the front of the room. If you're here to socialize, then get out, the voice said. Everyone turned to see that it was a man in a yellow sleeping bag, which was quite appropriate given how tired he looked. Who are you? A girl with pink skin asked. My name is, I'm your homeroom teacher, but enough of that. I want all of you to put on these PE uniforms and meet me in the field for a test. He showed the class the box of uniforms for them. Wait, sir, Uraraka said. Shouldn't we be going to orientation? No, he said without hesitation, if you guys want to be pros. Then you need to take your training seriously from the if you guys finish quickly, then maybe we'll have time to go to orientation afterwards. The class all nodded and got their uniforms. They then went to the locker rooms to change. Some time later everyone was in the field with. He then explained that the test they will be taking is a quirk assessment test. You, with blonde hair, come up here, he said, pointing to Katsuki. He then went up and Aizawa asked him what his record for a ball throw was in middle school. 68 meters I think, Katsuki said. Okay, now I want you to throw this ball using your quirk to see how strong it is, Aizawa said, handing him the ball. You got it, teach, Katsuki exclaimed as he stepped in the circle and got in position. Then with a flick off his arm he threw the ball with a large explosion while shouting, "DIE." When the results came up, the total distance was 723.5 meters. Everyone was impressed, including Deku. He told Katsuki he did a great job and Katsuki gave him a thumbs up. "Wow, so you get to use our quirks as much as we want," a boy with red hair said, looking excited. "This is gonna be fun," the pink-skinned girl said. Aizawa got a serious look on his face and said, "Oh, you think this is fun, huh? Well, how about this? Whoever gets last on this test will be expelled." The whole class then got nervous. Iraraka then broke the silence with a question. Wait a minute, sir. Isn't that a bit unfair? This is only our first day at school," she asked nervously. "Yes, it is unfair," Aizawa said. "You know what else is unfair? Disasters, crimes, and most of all villains. If you guys truly want to be pros one day, then you need to learn how to overcome these things like true heroes would." The class all understood what he meant and decided to give it their all, especially Deku. The test began with a 50-meter dash. Everyone did fairly well, especially Ida, and Deku got to see what his classmates' quirks were like. When it was his turn, he went up against Katsuki. The two got in position, and when Aizawa signaled them to go, Deku charged up to 15% full cowlings and blitzed Katsuki's speed. While Katsuki got 3.8 seconds, Deku got exactly 1 second. "Wow, he's even faster than I am," Ida said to himself. Katsuki and Deku gave each other a fist bump and went to continue the test. The rest of the test was interesting to say the least. Deku was the front runner for most of it. In the grip test he managed to get 386.8 kilograms. In the long jump he jumped over the whole sand pit, and in the long run he came in first. The push-ups, sit-ups, and side steps were harder for him since he couldn't use one for all, but overall he got a great score. Then it was time for the ball throw, which Uraraka ended up winning since her score was infinite. When it was time for Deku's ball throw, he knew he couldn't beat Uraraka, but he still wanted to give it his best. "By the way," Aizawa shouted before Deku even moved, "I don't want you to hold back for this one. I saw you on the monitors during the entrance exams. I want you to show that power again. If you don't, then I'll expel you." The whole class was surprised to hear this. "Wait, he's been holding back this whole time," a boy with a lightning bolt shape in his hair said. "Just how strong is he?" the girl with frog-like traits asked. Deku nodded his head and got in position. He then focused on one for all and activated full cowling to 15%. Then as he was about to throw the ball, he quickly put 30% into his finger and the ball went flying out of his hand. A loud boom was heard as the ball went further and further. When the results came up, Aizawa was stunned, as was the class. 1,474.9 meters, Aizawa said in shock. The rest of the class couldn't believe it, except for Katsuki, who gave Deku a thumbs up from the crowd. Deku gave one back and felt the soreness in his finger. "It's not broken. It should be better by tomorrow." He then went back to the crowd and waited for the test results. Aizawa showed everyone their test results and Deku ended up getting first place. The person in last was a boy named Minoru Mineta, who began to weep and begged Aizawa not to expel him. Aizawa didn't listen to him and told him to go to the principal's office. That's when Deku spoke up. "Sir, even though Mineta doesn't have the best quirk here, he still put all his effort into this test. Can't you let him off with a warning or something, please?" The whole class just stood there as Deku was trying to help Mineta stay. Aizawa wanted to scold him for questioning his superior and for telling him what to do. However, when he spoke, he said something entirely different. "You're right, kid, he did give it his all. Plus he has some serious potential in him. All right, Mineta can stay for now." Everyone was speechless, including Aizawa. Deku and Katsuki, however, knew this would happen as soon as Deku spoke up. Mineta began to cry tears of joy and said, "Awesome. I still have a chance to be a hero and see the pro-hero midnight boobs up close." The girls rolled their eyes at him. However, when they looked at Deku, most of them caught themselves staring at him like he was a pro-hero already. Deku saw this but decided not to say anything since he didn't want things to get awkward. Aizawa dismissed the class and they all went back to change into their regular uniforms. While in the girls' locker room, the pink-skinned girl said something that caught all the girls' attention. "So, that Izuku guy sure is something, isn't he?" she said. "Yeah, he is," said a girl with earphone jacks. "Has a lot of power. And he even saved that Mineta guy from getting expelled, even though he didn't deserve it. Seems like a nice guy and he's cute too. Isn't that right, Uraraka?" Uraraka felt panic in her chest as all the girls turned to her. Me, how would I know?" she asked. "Because he seemed really friendly with you. And I also overheard him say how you saved him from falling and how he saved you from the zero-pointer robot at the entrance exams." The girl with earphone jacks said, "You guys aren't like dating or anything, are you?" Uraraka's face went completely red as she said, "Why would I tell you that? I don't even know who you are." "Oh right," the girl said, "My name is Gyro, Kyoka Gyro. You don't need to introduce yourself, Ochako Uraraka. I heard everything you guys said earlier. It's part of my quirk." Uraraka was about to say something but was cut off as the rest of the girls began to introduce themselves. The one with a spiky ponytail was Momoye Irazu. The invisible girl was Toru Hagakure, the frog girl was Tsuyu Asui, but she preferred to be called Tsu, and the pink-skinned girl name was Mina. Thanks for introducing yourselves, and to answer your question, no, we're not dating, Uraraka said, still a little blushed. Okay, well, are you friends with him? Gyro asked. Well, not officially, Uraraka said. Have you seen him shirtless? Gyro asked, causing Uraraka to stutter nervously. That's enough, Gyro. Momo said, she's clearly uncomfortable, you should stop now. Gyro I sighed and said okay fine, then continued getting dressed. That's when Mina said, who else but me wants to ask him out on a date. After that all the girls just started blabbing about Deku and asked Uraraka what she thought. Uraraka left the room while feeling embarrassed and relieved. The rest of the day went by quickly and soon everyone went home. When Deku was getting ready to leave he was approached by Minta. Thanks man, because of you I still have a chance to see the girls in their costumes. I hope they're all revealing like, Minta said with a creepy smile. Deku looked at him weird and told him he was just doing the right thing, and the two high-fives and said goodbye to each other. As Deku walked towards the train stations with Katsuki they were approached by Ida and Uraraka. Greetings Deku, Ida said, are you taking the train station home as well? Yeah, you guys wanna walk together? Deku asked. Sure thing Deku, Uraraka said aloud. Ida looked at her with confusion. Uraraka was it? He asked her. Yeah, what it is? She asked. Why did you just call Midoriya a word that means useless? Ida asked her. Uraraka's face suddenly went red and she began to stutter. I am so sorry I mean Izuku, please forgive me, she said bowing her head. I just thought it was okay because that's what that Katsuki guy called you during the test. It's okay guys, Deku said. They both looked at him surprised. You're right Ida. That word does mean useless, but it won't be like that for long because of me. That's why Katsuki calls me it. You guys can call me it too if you want. It's true Katsuki said. I call him Deku and he told me that when we were kids he would bring a new meaning to that word. And he's come a long way since then, right Deku? Kaken, you have no idea, Deku said. I'll just stick with Midoriya if that's alright with you, Ida said. Well, I'll call you Deku if you say it's okay. Plus I think it's kinda cute. As soon as those words left her mouth, Uraraka blushed and buried her face in her hands. Thanks Uraraka. Anyone, let's hurry to the station, Deku said, and the group of four made their way to the train station and all went their separate ways. When Deku got home he greeted his mom who asked him how his first day was and how many love letters he got. Deku laughed it off and told her about his day. They sat down for dinner and after they finished Deku went to his room to go to sleep. While he laid there he thought about Uraraka and what Katsuki said about her, how she helped him before being hit with his pheromones. He thought to himself about how he should accept her feelings. But then he said to himself, no, I can't. Even if she helped me before my quirk affected her, that doesn't mean she liked me. The rest of the girls are probably under the effect by now, so they don't really like me either, Deku said as he looked out the window. Besides, I don't have time for a relationship. I need to focus on becoming the next #1 hero. Deku closed his eyes and went to sleep. He told himself that he would get into a relationship, but he would soon learn that it was going to be more difficult than he thought. Deku woke up to the smell of breakfast. His mom had made it for him ahead of time. He thanked her and told her that he was off to school. She hugged him goodbye and headed off to work. When Deku got to school he noticed that as he walked through the halls, he would get stares especially from the girls. He knew what was wrong with them and just ignored them. He got to class and waited for Aizawa to start class, but what happened next surprised him. A pound voice came from the door saying, I am here to teach class. Deku recognized that voice. It was All Might, who had stepped into class wearing a hero costume. Wow, a boy with red hair exclaimed, it's All Might and he's in his Silver Age costume. So the rumors were true, Mina said. He really is a teacher here. Everyone fanned out at this. Even Deku fanboyed out at All Might, despite knowing that All Might was going to be a teacher ahead of time. Hello students, All Might said. Today we will be having battle training. Everyone get your hero costumes on and meet me at ground beta. Hero costumes, everyone asked in unison. That's when All Might pointed to the wall and out came suitcases each with someone's name on them. Everyone cheered, got their costumes and went to change and headed to ground. There everyone complimented each other on their costumes. Wow, Deku said, Mina, your costume looks great and a little like All Might's. Thanks Mina, my mom made it for me. Deku said, you look pretty good yourself. Mina blushed upon hearing this. What about me Deku? Uraraka said in a way that almost sounded like a whine. Deku turned to look at Uraraka and blushed a little. What do you think? I know it's a little skin tight, but that's my fault for not being more specific with the support course people, Uraraka said. I think it's cute Uraraka, Deku said. Uraraka's face turned red after hearing this, but her face would return to normal upon feeling the cold stares she was getting from the other girls. Greetings, students, All Might said as the last of the students appeared in their costumes. Welcome to your first battle training. Today you will be put in groups of 2 and a team of either heroes or villains. The heroes will try to secure a fake bomb in a building while the villains will try to stop them. The heroes win by securing the bomb or catching the villains. Villains win if they catch the heroes. Everyone understands this. Good. Now draw from these balls to see who you be partners with. All Might pulled out a bag with little balls in it. They each had letters and numbers on them. Once you have it, find the person who has a matching one. That person is your teammate. All Might said. Once the students got their balls, they found their team members. Looks like we're on the same team, Uraraka, Deku said as he walked up to her. Why yeah, how cool is that? Uraraka said, clearly embarrassed. The other girls in class started complaining about how they wanted to be with when All Might explains how real heroes can't always pick and choose their partners, so they need to learn that as well. The girls reluctantly agreed and got with their partners. Don't get too comfortable, Uraraka, said Mina. Next time I'll make sure Deku is my partner. As if he's gonna be my partner, Toru said. Enough. All Might said, forget about next time, focus on now. Everyone nodded and heard the order they would be going in. Deku heard that his team would be in the last fight, and they would be facing Katsuki's team. Deku walked up to Katsuki and said, hey Kaken, looks like we're gonna go head to head. This should be fun. I'll get to see what skills you used to get in this school, Deku said with his hand held out. Just promise me you won't hold back, cause I sure as hell won't be. Okay Deku, if you want to get hurt that bad, Katsuki said, shaking his hand. The students then went to the monitor room to watch the first match. While the matches went on, Deku made notes on his classmates' quirks. However, he was constantly interrupted by his female classmates asking him how well they did. Deku always said fine, and they always reacted with a sigh like he just confessed his love for them or something. Toru's reaction was the weirdest. When she came to him, she asked, hey Deku, when I removed my costume during my fight, were you staring at me? She said with a weak voice. Stare at you? Deku asked. I can't even see you, Toru. You're invisible, remember? Damn, I didn't think about that. How am I supposed to get your attention now? She said with a whiny voice. Deku rolled his eyes, but he didn't have time to be annoyed though. It was his team's turn next and he had to formulate a plan with Uraraka. The match began and Deku and Uraraka entered the building ready to face the villains. They soon faced a loud explosion and barely dodged it. Deku told Uraraka to run and he'll take care of Katsuki. The two friends stared at each before Katsuki broke the silence. So Deku, you created some sort of special technique with your quirk. Well, I got a little something to show you as well, courtesy of these gauntlets from the support course, Katsuki said, then charged at Deku. But I still need to charge it up a bit, so let's check out your fighting skills while we wait. The two fought hard and they knew each other's fighting techniques very well. However, Katsuki simply couldn't keep up with Deku, especially when he was at 15% power. Finally, Katsuki stepped back and said, all right Deku, I'm ready. Ready for my best shot. Deku smirked and said, bring it on, Kachen. Katsuki then pointed his right gauntlet at Deku and began to charge up a power blast. All Might shouted through the speakers to stop, worried that Katsuki would accidentally kill Deku. Katsuki ignored and shouted, here it goes, take this Deku. Suddenly a huge explosion came bursting out of Katsuki's right gauntlet. It wasn't heading straight for Deku. Everyone watched in horror, worrying what would happen to him. Then before the blast reached him, Deku charged up to 20% full cowling and shouted, smash. The explosion was then pushed back at Katsuki and knocked him back straight into the wall, knocking Katsuki out. Nice try, Kaken. Deku said, you've certainly improved a lot these past months. Everyone in the monitor room cheered for Deku as he left Katsuki behind and went to find Uraraka. When he caught up to her, she was in the middle of fighting Ida. Deku quickly charged in with full cowling and Ida tried to stop him, but Deku was simply too fast. Deku grabbed the bomb and All Might announced that the hero team had won. After the last round, everyone went to get charged back into their uniforms. Since no one got hurt too bad, no one went to Recovery Girl. Deku arrived in class and as soon as he did, he was surrounded by all his classmates. Hey dude, you were so manly out there. I'm Ijiro Kirishima, by the way, the red-haired boy said. I'm Mina Ashido. Kirishima's right, you are manly, she said blushing. I'm Kyoka Gyro, but everyone just calls me Gyro, Gyro said with a smile. The other students continued to introduce themselves until Deku told them to stop, which they listened to of course. After the day was done, Deku and his friends all went to the train station to go home. Once Deku got home, he greeted his mother who asked him what he wanted for dinner. Deku told her that he would help her make it and she reluctantly agreed. During their meal the two made small talk. So how was school? Inko asked. It was great. We got to meet All Might, we even had battle practice and I got to show off my power and the costume you made me. My team won the training, by the way, Deku said as he continued to eat his matcha. Wonderful baby, Inko said happily. Now how about the thing? What other thing? Deku looked confused. Found any potential girlfriends yet? Inko said with a smile. Mom, how many times are you gonna ask that? Deku said with red cheeks. Sorry baby, but you know how badly I want you to meet someone, especially since you have the perfect quirk for it, Inko said before drinking her water. Perfect quirk. Deku said, Mom, my quirk is good for a lot of things. Getting a girlfriend is not one of them. Are you kidding? Inko laughed. I bet by now all the girls in school have a crush on you. Deku was about to say something, but then he realized his mom was probably right. After all, every girl in his class were already staring at him when they thought he wasn't looking. He also overheard some talking about how cute he was during the battle training, and that was just in class. During lunch he was approached by a girl with green hair who he ran into in the hallway. She introduced herself as Ibara Shizaki from class was 1B, and she asked if she could sit with Deku and his friends. Deku allowed her to despite Uraraka's protests. Who are you, his girlfriend? Ibara asked. What? No, I mean kinda, wait I mean. Uraraka would have kept going if Deku hadn't stopped her. After lunch she told Deku that she wants to eat lunch with him every day. But won't your class get upset at you for that? Deku asked. That's cool, as long as you're not upset with me I'm okay, Ibara said. Deku realized that his mom was right. He was affecting all the girls already, and it wouldn't be long before the love letters started showing up. You know what, Mom? The girls might be interested in me, but that doesn't mean I'm interested in them, Deku said, finishing the last of his matcha. But sweetie, you gotta be interested in some girls. Inko said, don't you want to date the prettiest girl in school, marry her later and then make beautiful grandchildren for me? Deku looked at his mom like she had just killed someone in front of him. Deciding that he had enough, he got up and said, Okay Mom, I think I'm gonna go work out in my room a little bit, take a shower then go to bed, completely ignoring his mom. Not that she would ever complain about it since she was so doting with him. Deku didn't show it, but he was really upset with her. How could she say something like that? Didn't she care about whether he was in love with a girl instead of her hopelessly in love with him? Deku channeled that anger into his practice with One for All for the rest of the day. And to his surprise he managed to make 20% his new average and 25% his max. Of course this caused some complaints to the neighbors, but they quickly calmed down when Deku showed up at the door. As Deku went to bed that night he lied awake thinking about his mom's words. Jesus Mom, is me getting a trophy wife all you care about? With those thoughts, Deku went to sleep thinking about the burden his pheromones bring. Deku woke up the next day and quickly went to the kitchen for breakfast, which of course his mom was making. Hi, baby, Inko said as she flipped the bacon on the stove. Hey Mom, listen about yesterday Before he could say any more Inko stopped, saying no sweetie, it's my fault, I should mind my own business. I just want you to get a girlfriend and a beautiful one at that, she said bringing the bacon to the table. Thanks Mom, I knew you would under. Deku was cut off again, which is why I looked over the school website and found some girlfriend candidates for you, Inko said as she handed a list she printed out with names of different girls on it. Deku recognized most of these names since they were girls in his class, but some of them were girls from other classes and even other grades, like this girl named Nejire Hato, who is a third-year student. Deku was about to say something when his mom spoke up first. I recommend the girl named Momoye Urazu. From the photos on the website, she is the tallest and most beautiful girl in the school, and according to rumors she is part of a very wealthy family. Well, that would explain a lot, Deku thought to himself. Urazu did get into UA through recommendation after all. Inko continued, however, you don't have to listen to me. It's your choice and I promise to support whoever you choose and to not interfere with any of them. As I said, I need to mind my own business, Inko said with an innocent smile. But Deku could feel his anger rise, but he couldn't bring himself to lash at his mom, so he hid it all away and said, Thanks Mom, this will help me big time, Deku said with a forced smile, which Inko totally bought. Deku wolfed down the rest of his breakfast and headed for the door when his mom stopped him. Wait baby, you didn't give me a hug. She opened her arms and Deku went to embrace her, but he got carried away and hugged her a little too tight. Well, baby relax, I love you too, but we'll see each other later. Deku let go and said bye to her. Bye sweetheart, I'm off to the gym for a good workout, see you for dinner. She waved and smiled as she walked away. Deku on the other hand walked to school upset and frustrated. When Deku got to school he went straight to class. Well, after he got past a crowd of nosy reporters, not wanting to deal with them, Deku simply leaped over them and into school property. He got to homeroom class and sat straight down, clearly in a bad mood. He didn't say anything during class, and everyone was worried about him. Mr. Aizawa then came in and told that class that they would be choosing class president today, which made everyone raise their hands saying they wanted the position, everyone except Deku and some boy with red and white hair. Okay, this isn't gonna work out, Aizawa said. Anyone have an idea on how to settle this? I have an idea, sir. Ada said we should have a vote for it. That would be the most fair way of deciding. Great idea, Ada. We will have a vote for the class president role. You will all pick who you think should have the position and you will not be allowed to vote for yourselves, Aizawa said as he dozed off for a brief moment. The class then wrote their votes and put them in a box in the front of the room. When Aizawa read the votes, his eyes went wide for a split second, causing everyone to react the same way. Well, here's a surprise. It seems that only 2 people got votes, and those people are Izuku Midoriya and Momo Yaoyorozu, Aizawa said with a small amount of shock. What? Deku asked with wide eyes. Wait, so who got the most votes? Funny you should ask. Aizawa said you did. You got 19 votes, while Momo Yaoyorozu only got 1. Deku's eyes went wide again. He looked around the room and all the guys gave him a thumbs up while the girls just blushed and giggled. Wait a minute, 1 vote? Deku asked, and Momo Yaoyorozu. Yeah, why? Aizawa asked. 'Cause that 1 vote she got was from me, Deku said, and the whole class looked at him surprised. Wow, Izuku. Toru said you voted for her? Why? I can tell by her looks that she's responsible, Deku said. Also, I saw how powerful her quirk is during the training, and how she explained the training better than All Might did. She's clearly smart enough to lead this class. Wow, Izuku, Momo said, blushing. Good observation skills. Also, thanks for saying I'm smart. Well, you got by recommendation right, so that must mean you're very smart and special, Deku said. Thanks, Izuku, Momo said with her face completely red, while the other girls stared at her with jealousy in their eyes. Well, that settles it. Izuku Midoriya is the class president, while Momo Yaoyorozu is vice president, Deku said. Okay, while Yaoyorozu sighed in awe. She was going to be spending more time with Izuku because of this, completely ignoring the stares she was getting from the other girls. It was now lunchtime and Deku was sitting with Ida, Uraraka, Katsuki, and Ibara. This food never ceases to amaze me, Deku said. It's so delicious. Well, it is made by the pro hero in Master Chef Lunch Rush, Ada said. Speaking of pro heroes, I've been wondering, why do you want to be a pro hero, Achako? Deku asked, swallowing his tuna roll. Uraraka nearly dropped her food on the table before she gathered herself and said without hesitation, for the money. What? Everyone said in unison. Wait, let explain, Uraraka quickly said. Why, you see, my parents own a construction company and lately they have been having financial issues, so I want to help them by becoming a pro hero and making lots of money for them. The others sat there speechless until Deku spoke up. Well, that's very kind of you, Uraraka. You parents are lucky to have you, Deku said. Thanks, Deku, Uraraka said, blushing. Hey, I want to help my parents too, Ibara quickly said. Fool Ibara, Deku said. Me and Kaken want to be pros because All Might inspired us to be. Katsuki nodded and everyone turned to Ida. Ada said, well, my reason is simple. I wish to be a pro so that I can continue my family legacy. Family legacy? Deku asked, what do you mean? Ever heard of the pro hero Ingenium? Ada said, his real name is Tensei Ada. He is also my brother. Everyone gasped at this. He was part of a family with a long line of heroes. Some were even considered the greatest to live. That would explain why he went to an elite middle school. So you want to be a pro so you can work with your brother? Deku asked. That's awesome, Ida. Yeah, maybe you're not all talk after 4 eyes, Katsuki said. Thank you all so much, Ida said. Now we must finish our meals quickly. We don't want to be late for our next classes after all. Everyone nodded and continued to eat the rest of their food. Suddenly an alarm went off, causing all the students to panic. As everyone headed for the exit, Deku found himself pushed against the window. That's when he saw a bunch of reporters from earlier harassing some teachers. Realized that there was no threat, Deku did what had to be done. Use one for all. And with Uraraka's help, Deku floated over the exit door and told everyone that it was a false alarm. Everyone calmed down and returned to eat their lunch. Deku's friends praised him and they all went back to finish their food. The rest of the day went normal for everyone except Deku. He was walking to his next class when he was stopped by some girls from Class 1B. They started flirting with him and one of them even asked him if he wanted to go with her. He said no, of course, but the girl didn't cry or get upset. Instead, she simply said she would ask him again tomorrow. Deku didn't even know how to react to that. He ignored it and moved on to his next class, Modern Hero Arts History, which was taught by Ms. Kayama Aka, the R-rated heroine, Midnight. Many of Deku's classmates thought she was the sexiest teacher in the world, and judging by the looks on their faces when they saw her in the hallway, they would probably kill just to get a kiss from her. Deku thought that since Midnight had a similar quirk to his, she would have some sort of immunity to it. Boy, was he in for a surprise. When class started, Deku went to introduce himself to his teacher, who simply replied not interested. Offended by this, Deku lost all sense and began to power up one for all. However, he quickly noticed this and powered down as fast he could. He then turned and quickly went to his desk. But with his back turned, he didn't see how his teacher began to stare at him while licking her lips seductively. The rest of class went by quickly, and when it was time to leave, Midnight asked Deku to stay back for a while. Deku replied with not interested. Midnight chuckled and told him to stay or else he would have detention. Deku agreed reluctantly, and as soon as everyone was gone, Midnight locked the door. So, you said your name is Izuku Midoriya, right? Midnight said. Yeah, but why do you care? Deku said, clearly upset. I thought you weren't interested? Oh, that. Midnight said embarrassingly, I'm truly sorry I was Jew. Deku cut her off mid-sentence. Keep your apologies to yourself. Now can I go before I'm late for PE? Oh, you've got an attitude on you. Midnight says with a smile, I like that. Listen, sweetie, let me make it up to you. How about I offer you some private lessons? Midnight made a seductive grin and Deku realized what had happened to her. No thanks. Deku almost screamed. Maybe next, Ms. Kayama. Please call me Nimiri, she said, and don't tell anyone this, but you are now my favorite student, she said, ruffling his hair. Deku got up and quickly ran to the door, unlocked it and ran out, leaving Midnight standing there with a seductive look on her face. It was time for PE, which was going to be equally as awkward for him. During class, he and Kirishima were having an arm wrestling match. Kirishima tried his best, but in the end he couldn't match Deku, especially when he had full cowling on. Wow, Izuku, Kirishima exclaimed, your quirk is so manly. I wish my quirk was like that. Then I could be more useful. What are you saying, Kirishima? Your quirk is useful. It's called hardening, right? Yeah, why? Well, that kind of quirk is useful for fighting, especially close-range fighting. Yeah, you could be right. Besides, I'm sure it's better than Mr. Explosion Die guys over there. Deku looked to where Kirishima was pointing and saw Katsuki yelling at some guys for stealing his turn with a weight machine. Once he threatened to blow them up, they all went running for hills. Deku signed before saying that's just Katsuki's normal self, but once you get through that you'll see that he simply wants to be the next #1 hero, just like me. Well, not to take sides, but I'm hoping that you'll be the number hero instead of him. Join the club. Also, it's a little weird that he seems to want to kill everyone except for you. I know you guys are like best friends, but still it's weird. How do you keep him under control? That's not important. I'll tell you what's important. Me and you getting stronger but having another match. I got a better idea. Let's have a fist-bumping contestant. Are you sure that's safe? With my hardening quirk, of course it is. Plus this will help me increase my max time limit. Right now I can only use it for about 2 hours a day. With your help I could probably make that 3 hours. Kirishima activated his quirk and held out his fist. What do you say? Deku thought about and agreed. He then charged up to full cowling 15% and the two began to bang their fist against each other. This went on for a few minutes, with the two being about even, until Deku went up to 20% power and Kirishima suddenly couldn't keep up. Eventually he fell back hurt and tired, and Deku powered down. Not bad, Kirishima, your strength and durability are no laughing matter. Same goes for your stamina, Deku said, helping Kirishima up. Thanks dude, your strength is really great too. Keep trading your quirk and you might even be stronger than All Might. Just then Mineta walked up to them with an upset expression and said, Izuku, Midoriya, how dare you steal my chance of being Ms. Midnight's favorite student? Deku looked nervous. What? Did you? Yes, I eavesdrop on you guys. I don't know how you get all these girls to like you, but all I want to know is. Mineta's expression went from anger to sadness in a blink of an eye. Please teach me, he said with tears in his eyes. Before Deku could respond, his phone went off. He checked it and it was a message from his mom. The message had a photo of a girl around his age using a weight machine. Actually, she was lifting the machine itself. Deku read the text. It said, look sweetheart, I found another girl for you. She's one of my friend's daughters and she's super strong just like you. She is also learning to be a doctor. I think she would make a great girlfriend for you. I'll tell her about you right now. Upon reading this, Deku had to fight the urge to crush his phone in his hands. Kirishima saw the look on his face and became worried. You okay, man? Yeah, it's just my mom being a little annoying, that's all. Your mom? Well then she must be really annoying at home. Sometimes yes. So you don't like living with her? Mineta asked. Deku's eyes widened. No, I love living with her. She cooks food that rivals that of Lunch Rush. She's always buying me new things. She even made my costume. Wow, sounds like a great mom, Kirishima said. She's the greatest. She even takes me on vacation every summer to the USA to visit my dad. I got a photo of us as my screensaver. Deku put his screensaver on display and showed it to Kirishima. He then blushed a little bit and asked, nice family photo, but where's your mom? She's in the picture. All I see is you. Some guy I'm assuming is your dad and your sister. Deku paused for a moment before saying, I don't have a sister. Let me see that, Mineta said, snatching the phone. Soon as he laid eyes on the picture, blood began to leak from his nose. Standing beside Deku was a beautiful green-haired woman with an hourglass figure. She was wearing a tank top and shorts and had a bust size that rivaled that of Yaoyorozu. Wait, no way. So not only do you have a loving mom, you have a hot one too, smoking hot if I'm being honest. And that body, looks like her measurements are 97, 66, 94. Gorgeous. Do you have one of her in a bikini? Mineta continued to look at the photo with bated breath, but his moment ended when he felt a hard slam on top of his head, sending his face in the ground. Deku grabbed his phone that Mineta dropped and put it away, saying with red cheeks, please, never say that again. His voice was calm, but if you listen closely you can sense the bloodlust in it. Stop playing rough, boys, a voice from behind them said. They turned to see Aizawa standing there with his hair standing up and his eyes glowing red. Wait a minute, Deku said, realizing what that meant. So you are a Racerhead? I thought you looked familiar. That's why my quirk stopped working right before my hit landed. That's correct. If it wasn't for me, you probably would have given poor Mineta here a concussion. Mineta looked back and forth between them, scared in the fact he almost got injured and even more scared to hear that Deku only used his natural strength and that punch still hurt very much. Anyway, I didn't come here to talk. I came for Izuku. Aizawa said Nezu wants you to come to his office for something important. Really? Sure, I hope I'm not in trouble. You would be if I told him about your little outbreak, but since I found it to be quite funny, I'll let you off with a warning. Deku laughed and made his way to Principal Nezu's office. Meanwhile, in the UA hallways, a blue-haired girl was opening her locker to get her supplies for her art class when two girls came up to her with letters in their hands. Oh, what do you guys need? She asked. We need your opinion. We both made these letters to the same guy and we want to know which you think is the best. The redhead said. Wait, to the same guy? Yeah, the purple-haired one said, that cute Izuku guy from class 1A. The one with the green hair and who got the high score on the entrance exam. Both the girls sighed in awe while the blue-haired girl just looked confused. First of all, nice to meet you guys. My name is Nejire Hado. Secondly, why the hell are you guys asking me this? First of all, we don't care who you are. Secondly, you haven't met the guy yet, have you? No, not really. Then you won't be any help. We'll just go find someone else. Also, you should go introduce yourself to that Izuku guy. He's a total dreamboat. The girls walked away with heart in their eyes and Nejire was left dumbfounded. She snapped out of it and made her way to her next class. As she walked by the window, she noticed that class 1 was out in the field for PE when she noticed a student with green hair clashing fist with a red-haired student. She was taken aback. He didn't look like much, but he was clearly powerful. When he punched the purple-haired student on the head, she nearly burst in laughter. As he began to head to the building, she realized that she got held up and rushed towards her art class. On her way, she couldn't help but think how special that guy was, maybe even special enough to intern for a certain teacher of hers. Plus, she had to admit, he was pretty cute. Back with Deku. Deku knocked and Nezu summoned him. He was and saw a deflated All Might and Nezu sitting on the couch. Greetings, young Midoriya. All Might said, glad you're here. We need to talk. Okay, let's talk then, Deku said as he sat on the other couch. Care for some tea? Nezu asked. I prefer coffee, so no thanks. So All Might, what do you want to talk about? Your progress with One for All. From what I've seen, you already have great control over it, All Might said with pride in his voice. Yeah, All Might, right now I can use 20% of it comfortably. The power it gives me is amazing. It also seems to make my own quirk way stronger, but that's not important. I see. So tell me, young Midoriya, have you had any of the dreams yet? Deku looked confused. Dreams? Deku thought for a while and answered with seriousness. Look, sir, I may have a quirk that makes every girl I meet love me, but that doesn't mean I have that kind of mindset. All Might didn't understand at first, but quickly caught up to the misunderstanding. No, not those kinds of dreams. I mean the One for All dreams, the ones I used to have when I was younger. One for All dreams? Yes, remember how I told you that One for All has been passed down by others? Well, those people become part of One for All when they die, and sometimes when I had a tough day ahead of me, they would come and give me a little advice. Deku didn't know how to process this. There is more to One for All than he could even imagine. Well, no, sir, can't say that I have had those dreams. Well, given your control of the quirk, it shouldn't be long before they reach out to you. When they do, make sure to let me know. I could help you understand the things they tell you better. Yes, sir. The rest of the day went by without any other issues. Deku and his friends walked to the station. When they got to their stops, they all went to their houses. When Deku and Katsuki began to part ways, Katsuki asked for Deku to stop and said, hey dude, make sure to let her down easy. Then he began to walk towards his house. Deku wondered what he meant but didn't have time to think about that. He just continued to walk home. When he got the stairs of his apartment building, he suddenly realized what Katsuki meant when he felt someone staring at him. Come out, I know you're there. As he said that, a certain brunette came out and quietly said hello. Why did you follow me home, Uraraka? Because I need to tell you this before someone else does, she said, closing her eyes. Then she opened her eyes and said, Deku, I like you and want to go out with you. Deku accepted this would happen and he planned to simply tell her no like he told every girl. However, after everything he went through that day, he had been fed up and just wanted it to end, so he said something that he would regret later. Listen, Uraraka, I don't want to date you. Or anyone. I'm tired of all this fake love. Why can't you people just leave me alone? Uraraka stood silently for a moment, but then she said something that Deku would have never expected. Okay, Deku, I will. Sorry for bothering you so much. With those words, she left. Deku was stunned. For once a girl he shoot down actually accepted his rejection. He didn't know how to feel, nor did he have time to. He went up the stairs to his apartment door and entered. When he got in, his mother hugged him still in her gym clothes and gave him a note. What's this? May's phone number. And Ko said, enjoy. Don't tell me May is. Yep, the girl I was talking about. I told her all about you and she said she was interested. You should call her sometime. Thanks, Mom, maybe I will. Deku didn't have the strength to be angry anymore. His mom made him some spicy tuna rolls, kissed him goodnight and went to bed. As Deku laid there he thought about Uraraka, how she seemed different from every other girl he's ever met. He then remembered the promise he made to himself, no fake relationships. With that thought he went to sleep, and when he did he found himself in a dark place. Deku was floating in a void and felt like he was awake. He called out for someone. That's when 7 blurry figures appeared before him. Before he could say anything, one of the figures spoke up and said, "So you're the 9th user." With those words, Deku immediately woke up and felt strange. He felt a sensation in his hand and looked at it. It was glowing like it does when full cowling is active. But he could feel that this was something different. The glow suddenly faded and the feeling disappeared. Deku didn't know what that was, but then he realized that this must have been what All Might was talking about. He decided to ask him about it tomorrow and he went straight back to sleep. Meanwhile at UA High School, President Mike went back to school to pick up something he forgot. When he passed by room 1 he saw Aizawa sitting there at his desk. "Aizawa, what are you doing here so late? I could ask you the same thing." "I came back for my phone. Now what's your reason?" "I got held up with this paperwork for the USJ trip I'm gonna take my students on tomorrow." "Oh yeah, that. I wish I could come see that. I want to see how those students of yours handle recuse training. Especially that Izuku kid. He's got some serious potential." "Yes he does, which is why it's crucial that he goes on this trip to further unlock that potential. Anyway, I'm just about done. If you want sleep in the hallway, be my guest. I'm going home." "Oh, Eraserhead. Always with the jokes, huh?" Aizawa ignored him and the two went home for the night. The next morning, Deku's morning went the same as normal. Everything did up until the point Aizawa announced they would be doing recuse training today. The class cheered and everyone got their costumes, got on the school bus and headed to the facility. Deku was in a hurry to get there after he heard All Might would be there. He wanted to tell him about his dream. On the way there everyone discussed their quirks. Everyone but Deku, who was still shaken from yesterday's talk with Uraraka. Even though she seemed fine, he could tell by the look in her eyes that she was upset. "How about you, Izuku?" Sue asked, bringing Deku back to reality. "How about what?" "Your quirk. What's it called and what does it do, besides make you strong and fast?" Deku feared this moment, when he would have to explain his quirk to everyone. What would they think of it, if him? Now there was only one way to find out. "Promise me something, girls. Promise you won't hate me for it." The girls got all confused but promised him. "This is gonna be hard to believe, but my quirk isn't really super strength or anything like that. It's this thing called active pheromones. I just recently learned how to use these pheromones as fuel to increase my physical ability, and I shoot them quickly out of certain places to create air waves." The class was in awe. Some of the girls even giggled. "Wow, Deku, your quirk is amazing." Uraraka said, "Why would you think we would hate you for that?" "Because that's the main purpose of my quirk. Its real purpose is a much more manipulative and villainous one. My quirk's true function is to send off unscented pheromones from my body that I can't turn on and off into people's noses and into their brains. When they do, they make those people fall hopelessly in love with me. The kind of love varies depending on the people, but from what I've seen it makes guys want to be my best friend and girls want to be my girlfriend. That's why I thought you guys would hate me, because my quirk is basically controlling all of you." Deku's voice began to break as he looked down in shame. Everyone was speechless, especially the girls. "Hopelessly in love," Uraraka said to herself. The silence continued until Yaoyorozu broke the silence. "Izuku, you think that the only reason we like you is because of your quirk?" "It has to be," Deku said, raising his head. "That's how it works after all." Izuku Kirishima said, "When I first heard that you got the high score on the entrance exams, I thought you were the manliest guy ever, and that was before I actually saw you, so your quirk couldn't have been affecting me." "Izuku," Yaoyorozu said, "when you voted for me as class president when no one else did and said the reason you did it was because you thought I was smart and special, I realized you were a true gentleman. Your quirk didn't make me think that. I genuinely thought that way about you and I still do." Deku Minda said, "When you saved me from getting expelled on the first day, I thought you were the coolest guy ever, not because of your quirk but because you're the reason I got to see Midnight up close, and also got to see a picture of your hot mom." Yaoyorozu made a wooden paddle and knocked Minta on the back of the head with it. Deku understood what he actually meant though. He began to sniffle a bit but pulled himself together to say, "So you guys don't hate me?" "Well, of course they don't, Deku," Katsuki said from the back of the bus. "I mean, your quirk kinda makes that impossible, doesn't it?" Katsuki begins to laugh until another person speaks up. "What he means is that your quirk is not the only reason why our class admires you." Everyone looked to see the source of the voice. It was Shoto Todoroki, the mysterious ice guy who tore up the battle training test. "Perhaps your quirk is what sparked their interest in you. But over time you have given them far more reasons to respect you, myself included. I saw how you calmed everyone down during the false alarm incident." You clearly have good leadership skills, which is why I don't regret voting for you as class president. None of us do, Midoriya. Ada said, we've all come to respect your personality, not your quirk. So none of us hate. In fact, I speak for all of us when I say that we admire you even more now. The whole class agreed and Deku began to weep. He's always had one true friend, but now he has a whole class full of them. Deku wiped the tears from his face and thanked everyone for what they said. They all smiled and everyone went back doing their own things. Deku saw Uraraka on the other side of the bus. He thought about yesterday and what he said to her. Maybe he was too harsh. He was about to go talk to her when the bus suddenly stopped. Okay, everyone, Aizawa said, we're here. Let's get this show on the road. The class all got off the bus and headed inside the large dome-shaped building. Inside they were greeted by the pro hero 13, who Uraraka fangirled over. Welcome students to the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ for short. 13 said. Where's All Might? Aizawa asked. 13 whispered to Aizawa while holding up 3 fingers. No one knew what she told him, but Deku knew exactly what she said when he saw her fingers up. Very well, back to business. You will all be sent a different area and practice rescuing civilians in a crisis. This is a crucial part of being a hero. 13 said, your quirks are important for saving lives, but if misused you can take them as well. Take me for example. My quirk Black Hole is very powerful for taking down villains, but if I'm not careful I can do harm to innocent bystanders or even myself. That's why I had to learn how to use it properly in the field before I became a pro. Now I read your files, and I know that you all have powerful quirks, but now you must learn how to control those quirks instead of simply using them. Especially you. Your quirk combined with your temper makes for a dangerous combo. The class began to chuckle before Katsuki yelled, shut up, or I'll blow all you up. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Aizawa said, me and 13 have chosen your areas based on quirks, skills, and... Before he could say any more, the power in the building went crazy. Then the next moment a purple portal appeared in the center of the central plaza. Everyone looked at the portal and a bunch of people who didn't look very friendly started walking out of it. After they came out, a young man with hands all over his body stepped out and next to him was a hulking bird-headed monster. Sir, is this part of the training? Ida asked. No, this is supposed to be rescue trying, not combat training. Also, I don't recognize any of those guys. 13, call for backup now. She tried calling but there was no signal. The students didn't have signal either. That must have been what that power surge was about, Aizawa said as he looked at the army of the now confirmed villains. 13th, get the students out of here and go get help. I'll buy you guys time to escape. But Sir Deku said you can't handle all those guys alone. Your eraser quirk wasn't made for that. Kid, you can't be a pro if you only have trick with those words. Aizawa put on his goggles and ran towards the villains and using his scarf he wrapped some up and tossed them around. Wow, he truly is a pro. Ada said. Okay students, 13 said, you heard your teacher, we must leave immediately. All of you stay in front of me and head for the exit. The students began to move towards the exit, but as they reached it a purple mist appeared along with a portal similar to the one they saw at the plaza. Where are all of you going? A voice came from the mist. The fun is just beginning. But if you guys must go, then could any of you at least tell me where All Might is? We're not telling you anything, Katsuki shouted. Now getting out our way of else. I choose or else. The villain said, taunting Katsuki. Stay back kids, I'll handle him. 13 said. She then activated her quirk and a black hole appeared in front of the villain. It was sure to take him out, or so it seemed. Suddenly the villain made a new portal and the black hole went through it and appeared behind 13. The students watched in horror as she was gravely injured and collapsed on the floor. Can anyone here provide a challenge for me? Katsuki then charged at him as did Kirishima while shouting, a man never runs from a fight. Guys, wait. Deku tried to stop them, but they were already too far ahead. They attacked the villain in unison, but their attacks had little to no effect. My turn, the villain said. Suddenly the class was surrounded by dark mist all around them. Before anyone knew what happened, most of the class was sucked into a portal and transported to somewhere else in the building. Flood Zone, Deku, Tsu, and Mainta. Ruins Zone, Katsuki and Kirishima. Mountain Zone, Yaoyorozu, Kaminari, and Gyro. Landslide Zone, Todoroki and Shiro. Conflagration Zone, Fumikage and Sato. The only ones left at the entrance were Mina, Uraraka, Toru, Yugo, Koda, Shoji, Ajiro, and Ida. Now, what's to try their luck on me next? Flood Zone. Deku opened his eyes and found himself falling into a lake. Once he was in the water, he noticed a shark-like thing moving towards him. He tried to swim to the surface, but at the speed he was moving he would definitely be caught. Just then the creature was kicked by a green blur, which also grabbed Deku and pulled him to the surface. Deku opened his eyes to see that it was Tsu, who then used her tongue to put him on the boat in the middle of the lake. Wow, Deku, you're here too. Deku looked to see a teary-eyed Mainta. Mainta, Tsu, why are you guys here? Same reason as you. The mist guy sent us here. Never mind that. We have bigger fish to fry, or should I say bigger sharks, Tsu said, pointing to the water. The three looked to see a lake full of shark-looking villains, but they were all just waiting there. Why weren't they attacking? Hey, guys, I just realized something. Deku said these guys must not know what our quirks are since Tsu was sent to this area rather than the conflagration zone. We can use that to our advantage. How can we do that exactly? Tsu asked. I have a plan. Listen closely. Sometime later the villains start to get suspicious. Those kids haven't made any move to escape. One said maybe they don't have the right quirk for the job. You could be right. Also, I'm getting bored of waiting here. Let's go get those. Suddenly a figure was seen jumping through the sky. 3 figures actually. Great, jumped Tsu. Now it's my turn, Deku said, and then powered up 30% in his finger. He knew it would make it sore, but at least it wouldn't break. He then shouted Delaware Smash, and out came a large air pressure that hit the lake and created a whirlpool. You're up. Do it, Minta. You got man. Take this, punk. Minta began to throw the balls on his head at the villains. As they touched them, they stuck to them, and soon they were all stuck together. The villains were then sucked down the whirlpool as Deku and the others landed at a safe distance and continued towards the main plaza. Great plan, Izuku. We're almost at the plaza where Mr. Aizawa is, Tsu said. Yeah, thanks, dude. For a second I thought I was gonna die before I got the chance to see Yaoraza's boobs, Minta said. Tsu then smacked Minta with her tongue and the three continued to swim back to land. Well, we made, guys, Deku said. I hope the others are doing okay. Ruined Zone. Katsuki and Kirishima found themselves surrounded by an array of villains, but they weren't afraid, especially Katsuki. Really, these are the guys they give us. Katsuki then set off a large explosion, taking down a number of enemies. How disappointing. Kirishima, you want to take these extras down and get back to the exit. I'm offended you had to ask, Kirishima said before activating his quirk and knocking an enemy into a wall of a building. Just make sure you stick to your own targets. If you take down any of mine, I'll blast you. Geez, you don't have to threaten me, we're on the same side. The two then proceeded to knock out every enemy they found. With Bakugo's firepower and Kirishima's brute force, they took down their enemies with time to spare. Well, that was fun. Should we go help the others now? Kirishima asked. They can handle themselves. Let's just get to the entrance so I can have a rematch with that foggy bastard. Katsuki's hands began to spark and Kirishima knew better than to argue. The two began to make their way out of the zone and into the central plaza. Mountain Zone. Yaorazu, Gyro, and Kaminari are surrounded by villains and they won't be able to leave until they get rid of all of them. However, they villains seem to have an advantage in the Mountain Zone since some appear to have Earth-based quirks. The three barely managed to find a spot to hide, but it wouldn't be long before the villains found them. Guys, this is bad. Gyro said my quirk isn't good for this much combat. Yeah, mine either. Momo said the best can do is make weapons and shields. But these guys seem too fast for me to hit. Denki, Gyro shouted, don't you have a quirk that shocks people? Why don't you use it? Because it doesn't simply shock people. It sends electricity all over, shocking everyone around me. And I don't want to take these guys out while also getting you guys. Wait a minute. Gyro said, hey Momo, can't you make something other than weapons with your quirk? I can make anything, as long as I know the details to it. Great, that gives me an idea. The villains continued to search for the students, but then saw them jump out of a corner. They began to charge at them, but that's when Yaorazu began to make an electric-proof blanket and covered her and Gyro in it. Gyro then shouted, now Denki. Denki then began to spark and suddenly the villains were caught in a flash of electricity. Shortly after, they all collapsed on the ground, paralyzed. Great job, Denki, Yaorazu said. Momo, your costume, Gyro said, and Yaorazu quickly covered herself and began to make a new top. Fortunately, Denki was in stupor from using his work too much. Once he regained himself, the three hastened to head for the central plaza. Landslide Zone. Todoroki and Siro were fending off villains who were using the terrain to their advantage. While Siro was having trouble keeping the villains under control with his tape, Todoroki was making easy work of them by simply freezing them. Damn it, kid, one of them said, how can you have this power? Todoroki then created a path of ice and soon every enemy in the area was frozen from the neck down. Listen closely cause I won't repeat myself. Todoroki said, if guys remain this way, you'll die of hypothermia. If you don't want that to happen, tell me why you guys are here, who you work for, and why do you want All Might? Ha, I like we ever take orders from a stupid kid, one of the villains said, and right after, Todoroki froze his head. The other villains looked in shock. Anyone else want to be an example? Wait, we don't know how we're working for. We're just some street thugs hired by a random person. Although I can tell why you what we want All Might for. That bird-looking monster at the plaza, according to the leader, that think and stronger All Might, which is why he brought it here, to kill him. Todoroki and Siro looked at each other and knew what they had to do. They began to head towards the plaza when a villain called out to them. Hey wait, aren't you gonna unfreeze us? Don't worry, you'll get unfrozen when the pros arrive to take you all away. The two continued to the plaza while the villains just shouted and yelled. Conflagration Zone. Fumikage and Sato are surrounded by flames. But that's not the real danger. That honor goes to the enemies that seem to have strength-enchanting quirks. Fumikage, how are you holding up? Sato asked. I'm doing fine, but I would do better if there wasn't so much fire, because the light it makes is making my quirk, Dark Shadow, weaker. Really? Well, that's not good, cause my quirk, Sugar Rush, requires a lot of sugar and I'm running low on snacks. Don't worry, my quirk might be weaker, but I think I know how to use it to get us out of here. Fumikage began to lead the villains to an alleyway, where there was little to no light. Once there he activated Dark Shadow, and the villains were swarmed by the creature and lakes on the concrete unconscious. Great job, Fumikage. Now we can get out of here and get back to the exit. Great idea, Sato. Let's get moving. The two then exit the zone and head for the entrance. Meanwhile, in the central plaza, Eraserhead continued to overwhelm the thugs that came through the portal. Using his quirk and scarf, he was knocking out an enemy with almost one blow. Impressive, Eraserhead, the young man with hands on his body said. You truly are a pro hero. I'm assuming you're the leader here. Yes, my name is Tamura Shigaraki. I'd tell you not to forget it, but you won't be around long enough to worry about that. Unknown to them, 3 students were watching the fight from the edge of the lake. It was Deku, Sue, and Minta. Should we help him? Sue asked. No, he looks like he can handle this alone. Let's get to the exit quickly. You guys grab onto me tightly. Sue and Minta wrapped their arms around Deku, which made Sue blush a little bit. Then Deku charged up to 25% full cowling and ran at high speeds to the exit. Meanwhile, at the exit, haha, is this the best you can do? Shoot acid at me. Damn it, Mina said. No matter what I do, I can seem to hurt him. The remaining students have been doing everything they can to get past the mist villain and get out of the building so they can go get help. Since Ida was the fastest, they decided he would be the one to go. If I could just get close to him, Uraraka said. That's when the villain turned his attention to her. You know, girl, since it was you who initiated this sorry excuse for a battle, I think I shall punish you by sending you high up and letting you fall. The villain began to approach Uraraka and she had no way of escaping him. Just as he was about to reach her, he was sent back by an air pressure attack. The class looked to see Deku carrying Minta and Sue. Deku, Uraraka said with joy. You're here? This is great. I know how to beat this guy. Really, how? Deku said as he put Sue and Minta down. See that metal plate in his center? I bet that's connected to him somehow. Damage it and maybe it will stop in his tracks. Got it. Foolish children. Making a plan in front of your enemy. How stupid can you all pass? The villain stopped mid-sentence when he felt a great pain in his chest. He looked to see that a certain green-haired boy had kicked his metal plate. The villain began to wheeze and stutter. Ida, now's your chance, go. Okay, hold tight everyone, I'll be back with help. Ida made his way to the exit. The villain tried to stop him, but his strength was quickly draining and he knew it. Once Ida went out the door, the villain teleported away. Where'd he go? Toru asked. Forget about him. Where's 13? The students pointed to an injured 13 laying on the floor. We need to help her. Does anyone have any first aid equipment? No, but I can make some, said a voice from the staircase. The class turned to see Yaoyorozu, Denki, and Gyro. Momo, Deku said that's great. She needs something to help stop the bleeding. Stand back everyone, I'll handle this. While this was going on, the mist villain appeared in front of Shigaraki. Back at the plaza, Kurajiri, what are you doing here and why are you breathing like that? Sir, he said with heavy breathing. One of the students has escaped. They will be bringing help soon. What? Damn it, Kurajiri. After all the trouble I went through to get us past the entrance alarms. You're lucky you're our only way of escape. Otherwise I'd kill you here and now. Wait a minute, the entrance gate. Eraserhead said so the other day. That alarm wasn't made by the reporters. Oh no, it was. Kurajiri said we just happened to be in the crowd and when we got through, we seek the USJ building since my quirk requires me to know the location of the place I wish to teleport to. I see. I should have known that from the beginning. No matter, know that I'm done with these punks. I'm gonna take you guys out as well. I don't think so. If you want to get to us, you'll have to beat the final boss. NOMU attack. Eraserhead couldn't even ask who Namu is due to be pushed to the ground in a split second. The hulking bird-head monster quickly picked him up and began to beat on him. Eraserhead tried to fight back, but this monster had some sort of strength-enchanting quirk. Even when he did hit him, his attacks didn't even seem to faze it. In a matter of minutes, Eraserhead was broken and bleeding on the floor, with Namu ready to end him. The students could see from the entrance and were horrified, until a certain green-haired boy spoke. Guys, keep Miss 13 safe. I'll go save Mr. Aizawa. What? Deku, no. Uraraka grabbed him by the arm. Please, Deku, you're strong, but you can't beat that thing. Yaoyorozu said. I don't have to beat it. I just need to stall it until the teachers get here. Now let me go, Uraraka, please. Uraraka shakes a little before slowly letting go of him. Okay, Deku, go, but please be careful. I don't want to lose you. Deku couldn't believe it. The girl who he rejected harshly yesterday was now begging him to be careful. Could it be his quirk? Or could it be something else? He didn't have time to think about that. Right now he had a teacher to save. Charging up to 20%, Deku spirited towards the battle while everyone felt worried for him, especially Momo and Uraraka. Well, Eraserhead, you've outlived your usefulness. Finish him NOMU. Shigaraki commanded Namu. Namu then raised his foot in the air and was about to stop Eraserhead's face. However, when his foot went down, it didn't hit Eraserhead, it hit the floor. He looked around to find Eraserhead and saw him being carried by a green-haired boy with green sparks around him. What are you doing, Izuku? Aizawa said weakly. I'm here to buy some more time. Ada should almost be back. I just need to stall until then. Okay, but I'm staying here to fight as well. After all, I'm not gonna let some kid have bragging right over me. Deku laughed and stood to face the villains. Well, what do we have here? An All Might wannabe. This is great. When he gets here, we can use your corpse to make an example of what will happen to him. All Might will be here. And when he is, you guys are finished. But while you wait, why doesn't Birdbrain here play with me instead? You heard him, Namu. He wants to die first. Get him. Namu charged and Deku got ready for a real battle. Back in Principal Nezu's office, enjoying your tea, Tashinori? Nezu asked. I always enjoy the tea you serve. You always know how to make it right. Well, my quirk does make me a genius after all. Now what are we going to do about your constant overuse of hero time? Sorry, sir, but when people need someone and no other hero is around, I must help them. It's who I am. I know it is. I also know that you plan on retiring this year. Yeah, at the rate my time limit is going down, I'd be lucky if I made it to Christmas. Fortunately for you, you seem to have chosen a worthy successor. Tell me about it. In the months, young Midoriya has had one for all. He has mastered it to the point where it's become second nature to him. I must say, you truly made a wise choice in choosing Mr. Midoriya. Not only does he have the heart of a hero, he also has such a way with people. Yeah, but that's not exactly good for hero work, Nezu. I beg to differ. Being popular has many advantages, including. The door suddenly flung open and Ada fell, though collapsing on the floor. All Might quickly turned into his buff form before Ada could look up and say, Mr. All Might, you need to help us, Ada said with heavy breathing. Villains have attacked the USJ. Ms. 13 is wounded. Mr. Aizawa is fighting off the villains. We must return at once. Nezu and All Might's eyes went wide as they looked at each other and knew what they had to do. Nezu, inform the teachers of the situation. I'll go on ahead and try to save the students. Understood. Nezu quickly ran to his desk and spoke into the announcement mic. Attention all staff personnel, we have intruders at the USJ. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Report to the USJ immediately. All Might took off as fast as he could to the USJ while thinking to himself, damn it, I should have been there in the first place. I also won't be able to keep this form for long. I'll have to end the fight fast. All Might continued at high speed to the USJ with only one goal in mind, save the students, especially his successor. Deku was face to face with a bird-headed monster, who the leader called Namu. He also learned the leader's name was Shigaraki from the conversation he heard earlier. Now Shigaraki had just ordered Namu to attack, and Deku was in his first true battle. Let's do this. Deku ran at Namu and it ran at him as well. Once close, Deku hit it in the gut with a 20% Detroit smash, but to his surprise the creature didn't even budge an inch. Haha, nice try, kid. But that won't work on Namu since he has a quirk called shock absorption. Namu then punched Deku back and sent him flying into a wall. When he looked up he saw Namu standing right over him, who then threw him back to where he was standing a moment ago. Damn, this thing is tough, and I don't think my pheromones will work on it either, not that I want them to. Maybe if I use some long-range attacks, I can hold it off long enough for help to arrive. Deku then powered up to 25% and began shooting Delaware smashes at Namu. It dodged some of them, but when it did hit him, he was pushed back a little bit. Ha, I knew it. Shock absorption protects him from direct attacks, but it won't do as well against air pressure attacks. I just need to keep this up. Deku continued to hit Namu with Delaware smashes. Shigaraki began to get irritated. Damn this kid. How does he have this power? I can't let him embarrass us like this. Guess I'll have get my hands dirty after all. Shigaraki then touched the floor with his hands, and the floor began to crumble towards Deku. When it reached him, Deku jumped away from it at the nick of time. Now NOMU. Deku then felt a large hand grab him by the neck and after that it slammed him into the ground. Deku was then pinned to the ground by Noma's large foot. He tried to push it off, but even with 25% power he couldn't make it budge at all. Don't bother, kid. This beautiful creature right here not only has shock absorption, it also has a strength enchantment quirk that makes him as strong as All Might. You're better off just laying there and wait for it to kill you. Deku wiped the blood of his mouth and tried to think of a way to escape. Namu was immune to his smash attacks. His pheromones were also useless in this situation. Namu then punched Deku in the gut and then grabbed him and threw him across the floor. Deku got up slowly and coughed up some blood. Not bad, but I'm not done yet. Deku then put his fist up and smiled. Back at the entrance, Arazu has just finished sealing 13's wounds. She then looked at the rest of the class and saw that Fumikage and Sato had arrived while she was busy. Hey guys, Miss 13 will be alright. How Izuku do? Momo stopped mid-sentence when she looked at the plaza and saw Deku bleeding and tired. Izuku, he's in trouble. We have to help him, Momo shouted as she Nathan to move towards the staircase. No Momo, Uraraka grabbed her by the hand. You can't help him, you would just put yourself in danger. I can't just stand here and do nothing, Momo said with tears in her eyes. Before anyone can say anything else, the entrance doors burst open and out came a figure everyone was happy to see. I am here. All Might, Momo said, you have to help Izuku, he's fighting some sort of monster. All Might looked at the plaza to see his successor fighting a bird-head monster, and appeared to be losing. His signature smile suddenly faded, as he looked at the student and said, fear not, I will save him, I will save all of you. With a burst of speed, All Might charged at the battle in order to save the future symbol of peace. Back with Deku, Namu continued to beat on Deku. The only reason he hadn't fallen is because of One for All. Deku knew that he couldn't fight much longer, but he couldn't give up. I have to keep going. A true hero fights until he can't move. Enough with the hero talk. NOMU finish him. Namu then charged at Deku and with no way of escape, he closed his eyes to brace himself. But there was a loud boom. And when Deku opened his eyes, he saw his mentor blocking the attack and pushed Namu back. All Might, Deku said in joy. Fear not, young Midoriya. I am here. All Might then ran up to Namu and punched his other face. But the Namu was unfazed and immediately punched him back. All Might, this thing has shock absorption. Your pinches won't affect it. Shock absorption, huh? That would be an issue for someone else, but not for me. All Might then charged up a full-power Detroit smash right at Noma's chest. The pinch collared directly with him and it blew a hole right through Noma's body. All right, Deku shouted while the others at the entrance cheered as well. But their cheering soon turned into gasp when they saw the Namu stand there and the hole in his chest begin to regenerate. What? It has more than one quirk. That shouldn't be possible. The only way it could be is... No, it couldn't be him. While All Might was thinking that, Namu took this opportunity to charge at him. All Might regained himself just in time to counterattack it. The two then engaged in a back-and-forth battle of Namu was aborting All Might's attacks. All Might was taking clear damage. Namu punched All Might in his injured spot and All Might found himself at the monster's mercy. I can't just stand here and let him die. Not after what he's taught me, Deku thought himself as he began to move. But he stopped. Everyone stopped actually when the half of Noma's body suddenly became invaded in ice. Stay away from my teacher, a voice said blankly. It was Todoroki. He used his ice to freeze Namu so All Might could get away from it. Zero, get back to the others. Leave this to the rest of us. Okay, be careful. Arrow then made his way to the entrance where the other students were. Todoroki then continued to freeze Namu, but the creature kept breaking out of the ice and headed for him. Suddenly Namu was hit with an explosion to the face. Hey ugly, fight me if you want a challenge. It was Katsuki with Kirishima by his side. Kaken, Kirishima, you guys are here, great. Me and Todoroki will help All Might with this thing. You guys keep the leaders off our backs, Deku said, pointing to Shigaraki and Kurogiri. Sure thing, man, Kirishima said. Normally I hate taking orders, but I got to score to settle with that smoke screen so I'll make an exception, Katsuki said. And watch out for his quirk. He turned the floor into dust just by touching it. He could do the same to you guys. The two charged at the villains and Shigaraki tried to use his decay to crumble the floor they were on, but Katsuki simply flew over it with his explosions and almost landed a hit on Shigaraki. But Kurogiri teleported them away at the last second. The two continued to attack them with the same results, but Kurogiri was slowly losing his energy thanks to the damage of his metal plate. Meanwhile, Deku and Todoroki helped All Might attack Namu, with Todoroki freezing him and Deku punching him. All Might then got an idea. Listen boys, I know how to beat him. If he has shock absorption, then he has the weakness of it. If we can do enough damage to him, we should be able to stun him, then I can deliver the final blow. Understood, sir, Deku said as he hit Namu with a 25% smash. Kirishima and Katsuki attacked the villains. Katsuki Gauntlet was now charged and he launched a powerful explosion at Shigaraki, but Kurogiri used his quirk to warp it back at Katsuki. The blast hit him directly and Katsuki laid on the ground with burns on his body. Katsuki, Kirishima said, Deku, we can't fight these guys for much longer. Deku heard this and started going beyond 25%. Deku and Todoroki continued to attack Namu, but Todoroki's body was starting to freeze from using his quirk too much and Deku was getting tired. Namu saw this and quickly punched Todoroki away and swatted Deku away. All Might then tried to attack Todoroki, but he was then grabbed in his injured spot by Namu. As All Might screamed in pain, Deku got up and saw his mentor in trouble. Damn it, I have to do something. Deku slowly stood up. I will not fail him. I will not fail him. With those words, a black force came out of Deku's body and grabbed Namu. Everyone couldn't believe what they were seeing. Namu was being held in place by Deku, not by his hands but with something. Might wanted to know what this was, but realized he had more important matters. Using all his strength, All Might yelled Texas Smash, and a sonic boom was created. Namu was sent flying through the roof of the USJ. The black tentacle-like thing from Deku's body continued to flail around like crazy. That's when Aizawa used his quirk to erase Deku's powers. The black tentacle then disappeared and Deku collapsed on the floor, with sore arms and legs and a few broken ribs. Kirigiri was now trying to teleport him and Shigaraki away, all while he was shouting and throwing a tantrum like a child. No fair, Namu was supposed to kill you. And that kid wasn't supposed to have that black thing, he must have cheated. Sir, we must leave now. The teachers will be here soon, and my energy is running low. If we don't leave now. Kirigiri was cut off when a gunshot was heard and Shigaraki was shot in the shoulder. It was Snipe and the other UA teachers. Kirigiri grabbed Shigaraki and warped them back to their hideout, all while Shigaraki was screaming that he will be back to kill All Might and Deku. All Might and Aizawa went to Deku and saw he was still concussion. But he was injured. Izuku, how did you do that? Aizawa asked. I don't know, but like you said, sir. You can't be a pro with only one trick. Deku laughed weakly and All Might began to cough up blood. I need to get you back to recovery, girl, you and young Bakugo. What about your time, sir? I should have enough for a quick run back to the school. Just make sure you hold on. All Might then picked up Deku and went to get Katsuki, all while the other teachers rounded up the remaining villains. Soon there were reporters outside the USJ that had a lot of questions. The police were also there to arrest the villains. They also found Namu in the area and quickly appeared him before he could make a move. The teachers told the students to get on the bus and Aizawa would drive them back. Everyone got on and headed back to UA. Back at UA, Katsuki awoke to find himself and Deku in Recovery Girl's office. They laid there and waited to be treated Recovery Girl. Deku, she shouted, what did I tell you about hurting yourself? Sorry ma'am, save it, just let me heal you both. She then kissed them on the forehead, but for some reason she kissed Deku for a longer time. She claimed it was because his injuries were worse than Katsuki's, but they both knew the real reason. That's when Nezu came in to talk to the boys. Well, this has been an unexpected day, hasn't it? Principal Nezu, what are you doing here? I thought you were handling the reporters. Deku asked. I told the teachers to handle them. I had to come here to tell you two something important. What is it? You two did well today. The students claim that you, Midoriya, fought the monster single-handedly. You even displayed some sort of new technique. Could you show it to me, please? Sorry, sir, but I don't know how to do it again. It just happened randomly. Oh, I see. Well, anyway, excellent job today, boys. Although I recommend you two don't do something that reckless again, at least not until you have your hero licenses. Yes, sir, Deku said. Whole Katsuki just shook his head yes. Also, I took the liberty of calling your mothers and informing them of what happened. They should be waiting for you both at the entrance gate. Really? Okay, Deku said while Katsuki shook his head once more. When the two were given permission to leave, they made their way to the exit. Once there they saw their mothers and Deku rushed to his, while Katsuki just walked at a normal pace. Mom, Deku said as he ran up to her. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. Oh Izuku, my baby, are you okay? Are you hurt at all? Inko said, hugging Deku as hard as she could. I'm so glad you and Katsuki are okay. Me and Mitsuki were so worried about you too. Yeah, it sure seems that way, Deku said as he looked at Katsuki, who was being yelled at by his mother. Katsuki Bakugo, how dare you do something so reckless? How stupid are you? What was I supposed to do, you old hag? Stand there and let myself be killed? Don't talk back to me, mister. You're in enough trouble as it is. Deku then broke free of his mother's grasp and wails towards them. Hey, Katsuki, you did good today. You too, Deku. Don't praise him, Izuku. He does deserve it. What he deserves is the grounding he's getting. Mitsuki said. What? You can't ground me for being a hero. You're not a hero. You're an idiot. If anyone is a hero, it's Izuku. He's the only reason you're still alive. You're lucky to have him as a friend. Not to mention he actually listens to his mother. Maybe he can teach you how to be a better son. Enough, Deku shouted at Mitsuki, which surprised everyone. Deku, what are? Inko began to say but was cut off. No mom, I can't stand here and let her say that stuff. Listen, Ms. Bakugo, Kaken is not an idiot. He's a hero. He fought off an army of villains and helped me take out the monster. Also, he's not lucky to have me as a friend. I'm lucky to have him as a friend. And lastly, he doesn't listen to you because you don't know what you're talking about. If anyone needs to learn from someone, you need to learn how to be a better mother from my mother. Deku took in a few breaths and saw everyone staring at him in shock. Mitsuki had a blank expression on her face and began to walk off. Katsuki stood behind a bit and whispered to Deku, you didn't have to do that. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. Deku gave him a smile and the two fist bump. Katsuki went to catch up with his mother, while Deku stood back with his mother. Wow, Izuku, I've never seen you talk that way before. Neither have I. A feminine voice came from behind them. They turned to find Uraraka. Hey Deku, can I talk to you for a moment? Yes, he can. Inko answered for him excitedly. Have fun, baby. Inko walked towards the exit, and when she was far enough, the two began to talk. What a day, huh? Uraraka said you and Katsuki were very brave. Yeah, thanks. The move you did in the end, what was that? I don't really know, but I'll find out. Oh, well anyway, thanks for everything. All I did was stall for time. No, you didn't. You also told us about your quirk. That will make being around you easier for everyone. Deku realized that he explained his quirk to everyone on the bus ride to the USJ. He knew what he had to say next. So, I guess you understand what I meant the other day about fake love. Actually, Deku, I came to tell you that you were wrong. Dekus looked confused. What? I was wrong. No one has fake love for you. Everyone, at least everyone I know, really cares for you. Not because of your quirk, but because of who you are. You're probably right. Of course I am. If not, then that means your mom or Katsuki don't like you for who you are. What? No, I've known Katsuki before my quirk activated. I know that he likes me for real. And my mom is the same way. She would love me with or without my quirk. Then why do you think everyone else is different? Because I believe that my quirk was manipulative and villainous. So I promised myself that I would never have a relationship because of it. What? That's ridiculous. Your quirk is not villainous. It just saved our class's lives today. And why can't you have a relationship? You deserve one. Because I thought it would be cruel to make a girl fall in love with me unnaturally. Deku said, looking down. That's not true. Deku looked up to Uraraka. Just because your quirk makes them interested in you doesn't mean they love you unnaturally. Besides, if you ask me, I think it's more cruel to make a girl fall in love with you than turn her away without giving her a chance. Deku was surprised. He never thought of it that way before. All these girls that confessed to him, he turned them down because he didn't want to hurt their. Maybe all this time he has been hurting their feelings more by saying no without hesitation. Anyway, I got to get back home. My parents are probably worried sick. You should go catch up with your mom too. By the way, the school is giving us a few days off, so you can probably spend some time with your mom. Thanks, Uraraka, I will. See you in a few days. Yeah, see ya, Ochako said as she ran off through the exit, and soon she was out of sight. Deku went to catch up with his mom, who was smiling, and asked how his conversation went. It went good, Mom. Let's go home now. Why? Is she gonna meet us there? Why would she? Didn't you invite her over? Isn't that what you do for your girlfriend? Deku just walked off and his mom followed him. On their trip home, Inko kept asking Deku questions about who his girlfriend was and when she would meet her. Deku was losing his temper and decided that when they got home, he would put an end to his mom's bad habit. Wait, I'm confused, Inko said as she locked the apartment door. Is the brunette your girlfriend, or did you choose the Yaoyorozu girl? I'm okay with either one, Mom, stop it. Inko flinched at this, and Deku slowly turned to face her. Why do you keep forcing me to date some random girl? So you can brag about it to people? So you can use me to get money from her? Or maybe because you care more about me having a trophy wife than me being in love? Don't you care about my feelings? Don't you want me to date a girl I really like, instead of just some random pretty girl? Deku inhaled and realized he had lashed out at 2 women in a single day. Must be a new record. Inko began to tear up and went to hug her son. Baby, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for you to feel that way. Inko began to cry into Deku's shoulder, and Deku realized he overdid it a little bit. Mom, it's okay. I know you didn't mean to, but you still did. The reason I'm telling is so you can stop. So you don't want me to help you find a girlfriend, Inko said, weeping. No, Mom, I just want to focus on school. Besides, I don't need a girlfriend right now. I get enough love from you as it is. Oh, really? Inko lifted her head off his shoulder to look him in the face. Yes, really. With all you do for me, I couldn't ask for a better mother. Deku hugged her tightly and she started crying again. Oh, sweetheart, thank you. Again, I'm sorry for interfering with your life too much. I promise to stop. I won't force you to find a girlfriend anymore. Thanks, Mom. I love you. I love you more, baby. Inko finally let go of him. Now how about we make something to eat and go to bed? Sure, that sounds great. And to show you I'm grateful for you, how about I make it myself? Deku said. Really, you would do that? Thank you, baby. No problem, Mom. Deku then made some tuna rolls and ate them with his mother. They turned out to be very good. Looks like Inko was the only good cook in the house. After their meal, Deku got ready for bed, and just when he laid down, he heard the door open. He looked to see his mother wearing a nightgown. Mom, what is it? I'm going to sleep here. But why? I almost lost you today. You don't think that makes me scared to leave you alone? Besides, we used to sleep together when you were younger. Yeah, but now I'm bigger and we may not fit in the bed. Nonsense. Move over, please. Inko got in the bed and pulled Deku in close, burying his face into her bust. This was the real reason why Deku didn't want to sleep with his mother. But she made a point about being worried for him, so he didn't say anything. I'm sorry I scared you today, Mom, Deku said, looking into her eyes. It's okay, baby. I should have known that this would happen since you're training to be a hero. But I still shouldn't put you through that. I promise next time there is an attack, I will be strong enough to protect myself. I won't make you scared anymore. Really? Thanks, baby. Inko then kissed him on the forehead and said goodnight, Izuku. Goodnight, Mom. Deku then went to sleep, happy that he cleared his issue with his mother. He also thought about what Uraraka said and felt that she was probably right. But he still had to focus on his training first. Today showed him that he needs to focus more on one for all, and that new technique he used at the USJ. He would talk to All Might about when he got back to school and ask for more training. Deku wanted to get as strong as he can so he would never scare his mom again. Meanwhile, at an unknown bar. Damn it all, Shigaraki said as he recklessly touched everything he saw, turning it to dust. That wasn't supposed to happen. Shigaraki, calm down. Kurogiri said, keep this up and we'll have to find a new hideout. Don't tell me to calm down. Not after what happened. Not only did All Might survive, we lost a Namu and many of our henchmen. Also, the news is saying that Namu has been taken into custody. It's only a matter of time before they put 2 and 2 and discover where the rest are. Well, then we must find a new location for them immediately. Kurogiri said. True, but that won't help us with our other problem. That kid. What kid? A voice from the monitor on the table said. The kid that went toe-to-toe with Namu. The kid that used some sort of tentacle attack. The kid who is the reason for this defeat. I'm sorry I let you down, Master, Shigaraki said, bowing his head. Don't worry, Tamura. It was my mistake for not accounting for the student's abilities. I promise not to make the same mistake again. Thank you, Master. No thanks necessary. Now I want you to listen closely. This boy you speak of, if he's truly an issue, then you must learn how to beat him. The UA Sports Festival is coming up. That will be the perfect opportunity to learn his strengths and weaknesses. Your job is to observe him so the next time you encounter him, you will defeat him. And while you're at it, try to recruit some new allies. Yes, Master, Shigaraki said. And the monitor with the letters AFO turned off. When it did, the mysterious figure spoke to himself. So All Might, you've found yourself a successor already. Well, so have I. We shall see whose is more powerful soon enough. Kurogiri, Shigaraki said, tell Jiren to start searching for more members for the league. We're gonna need them the next time we attack. Also start searching for a new hideout for us. I have a feeling we're gonna need one soon. Meanwhile, in Hasu City, a mysterious man dressed in red and black clothing and carrying an array of swords and knives looks over the city. Such a beautiful city, but it would be more beautiful if it wasn't filled with the horrible trash that people call heroes. They're no heroes, just greedy bastards who want to be television. The man pulled out one of his knives and licked his lips sadistically. But fear not, good people, for I, the hero killer Stain, will wipe out this plague with my own bare hands. I will bring honor back to real heroes like All Might soon enough. Deku woke up to find his mother still holding him close to her. Deku smiled at seeing her. She looked so peaceful when asleep. Good morning, Mom, Deku whispered to her, and she slowly woke up. Good morning, baby, she said, smiling back at him. I'm glad you're up. Now I can make you breakfast. You mean we can make breakfast? Izuku, you helped me yesterday, and I'll help you again. I have a few days off from school. That's how I want to spend them. Thanks, baby. Inko kissed him on the forehead and went to the kitchen with Deku following behind her. Together they made eggs and toast and ate together while Deku told her about his school life and Inko talked about her work life. After dinner they went out, picked out stuff that Deku would like, while Deku would pick out stuff his mother would like. They would then go out to eat. And when they got home they would watch a movie together. This continued on for a few days until it was time for Deku to go back to school. Deku woke up to find his mother wasn't there. She was instead making breakfast in the kitchen like she normally does. Hey Mom. Hey baby, ready to go back to school? Sure, I can't wait to get back to my training. I need to get stronger so I can beat up any villains that show up at school. That's very brave of you, baby, but I don't think that will happen again anytime soon. At least I hope it doesn't, for the sake of your school. Yeah, you're right, Mom. I'll just eat breakfast and be on my way. Okay, but you promise to be more safe from now on, right? Yeah, Mom. I don't want to scare you like I did during the USJ. Thanks, baby, Inko said as she finished making Deku some pancakes and brought them to him. After he ate them, he hugged his mother goodbye and left for school. Once he got to school, he noticed that people were staring at him. Not just the girls, but everyone. And he got to class, everyone immediately rushed up to him and asked him if he was okay. I'm fine, guys, Deku said. Are you sure of that, Izuku? Yuga asked. You seemed pretty injured after that battle. Yuga's right, Deku. Mina said, are you sure you're all better? Glad to hear that. Yaoyorozu said. I was really worried for you, Izuku. What you did was very brave. Thanks, by the way. You can call me Deku if you want. Really, isn't that what your friends call you? Yaoyorozu said. Exactly. Deku smiled, and Yaoyorozu's face went red. What did I tell you guys about socializing? A voice came from the door. The class turned to see a badge up Aizawa. Sir, what are you doing here? Shouldn't be at the hospital, Ida asked. and let you guys slack off. You wish. Aizawa told everyone to sit down as he went to his desk. Once everyone was seated, Aizawa made an announcement. I'm proud of all of you for how you handled yourselves at the USJ, but your battle is not over yet. The class went silent and thought he was gonna say more villains had shown up. That's when Aizawa spoke up saying the UA Sports Festival is in exactly 2 weeks, so you all need to prepare. The whole class then cheered, excited to be competing on live television. Don't get too excited. Remember, this isn't a regular competition. This will be your chance to get noticed by pros so you can get internships afterwards. You will also only get 3 of these in your whole high school life, so you must make them count. Yes, sir, the class said in unison. The rest of class went by. Lunch came. Deku sat with his friends as usual. That's when Katsuki started a conversation with him. Hey Deku, I need to talk to you about my mom. Look Kaken, I know you didn't want me to. It's not that, it's about she's been acting. What do you mean? I should start from the beginning. Katsuki's flashback. Katsuki woke up to the smell of something delicious. He went downstairs to see it was his mom cooking bacon. She didn't usually make breakfast this early. Hey old hag, what are you doing up so early? Good morning, sweetie. Just making some breakfast for you and your father, Mitsuki said sweetly. Katsuki was confused. He just called her old hag and she didn't get upset. Was she feeling okay? Katsuki's father came down just in time to see her put the food on the table. Well, honey, thanks for making this for us. Don't let your guard down, Dad. This could be some sort of joke. She doesn't just wake up this early for no reason, you know. Katsuki, don't be ridiculous. Your mother. Before he could say any more, Mitsuki raised her voice at him. Don't you dare call our son ridiculous, Masaru. He has every right to be suspicious. After all, I haven't been the best mother in the world lately. Katsuki and his father were surprised. She yelled at her husband for taking her side. Something was definitely up, and Katsuki had a feeling of what it was. For the next few days, Mitsuki would continue to treat Katsuki with absolute kindness, even when he didn't return the feeling. She would also try to take him out and buy him gifts, but he would just turn them down. Katsuki didn't know how to feel about this. It felt nice not to get yelled at, but it also felt guilty. Also this morning when Katsuki was getting ready to leave, his mom gave him a hug and told him she loved him. Katsuki didn't say it back, but it didn't seem to bother her. End of flashback. So wait, is this an issue for you? Deku asked. Kinda. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this. It's nice not to be yelled at, but it feels kinda wrong knowing why she's doing this. Kaken is sorry you feel that way, but I don't think this is an issue. Your mom's trying to act more loving. That should be a good thing. Just give it some time. I'm sure you'll get used to it. You could be right. Besides, it's not like she's that bad. At least she doesn't try to kiss me on the lips in front of class. Katsuki laughed and soon everyone else joined. Hey dude, that was a one-time thing. And it was all the way back in kindergarten, Deku said with his cheeks red. Before anyone else could say anything, a bulking figure came behind Deku and tapped him on the shoulder before saying, Greetings, young Midoriya. Would you care to join me for the remainder of lunch? I wish to have an important discussion with you. Sure, All Might, sir. Just let me get my stuff. Deku gathered his belongings and the two went off to have lunch together. Wow, All Might wants to have lunch with him, Ibara said. Everyone just loves Izuku, don't they? Ibara, you have no idea, Uraraka said. With Deku and All Might. Deku and All Might continued to walk down. They reached a corner. Deku accidentally ran into a girl making the same turn. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Deku said. No, it's cool, said the girl with blue hair. I'm just an A. The girl's face started to blush and she began to stutter. Hey, are you Izuku Midoriya? Yes, I am. Oh, I'm Nejire Hato, and I was wondering if I could tell to you. Maybe after I'm done with lunch, I have to talk with Mr. All Might here. All Might. Oh wow, I didn't notice you, sir. Well, there's a first for everything, I guess. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. I hope so, bye. She waved at him uncontrollably. Deku just thought to himself, this happens every time. Deku and All Might enter Principal Nez's office. They then sat down and All Might reverted to his true form before saying, Young Midoriya, we need to talk about your powers. Before we do, sir, I need to tell you something. I had one of those dreams. You did. When? The day before the USJ. I was floating in this dark place. There were some people who I couldn't make out, but one of them said you're the 9th user. Then I woke up. When I did, I had this feeling in my arm and then it just vanished. Wait, you had a feeling in your arm? Does that have something to do with that new technique you used? I don't know. I mean, it felt similar to it, but I don't know what that means. I think I do. All Might said it must have something to do with Degoro. Who? All Might then stood up and got an old picture book. He then showed Deku a picture of a man who looked kind of villainous. Who is this? His name was Degoro Banjo, and he was the 5th user of One for All. Really? But what does that have to do with? All Might cut him off. Degoro didn't just have One for All. He had his own quirk called Black Whip. It allowed him to create black energy tendrils from his body. This was very useful for capturing enemies and increasing mobility by latching onto objects. Wait, so you're saying that I somehow have his quirk? It appears so. I don't know how, but one for all appears to be transferring more quirks into your body. Strange since it didn't do that for me. But hey, I'm not here to complain. Wait, sir, so now that we know what this is, do you think you can teach me how to use it? Of course, young Midoriya, you're gonna need it for the sports festival and for becoming a pro. Also, there's something else I wanted to talk to you about. What it is, sir? At the USJ when we were fighting that monster, it had more than one quirk. The only way that would be possible is through a man named All for One. All for One. Yes, remember that story I told you about One for All? Well, he was the man from that story. He's the one who has killed all the previous users, including my master. He's also the one who gave me this wound on my side. I believed him to be dead, but it looks like I was wrong. He is back, and it won't be long before he resurfaces. However, this is where you come in. What do you mean, sir? If All for One does resurface, and I have to face him and don't make it back, I need to make sure there is still hope, which means I need to make you as ready as possible. Are you saying All might cut him off? Yes, young Midoriya. Not only will I help you master Black Whip, I will train you with One for All as well. For the next 2 weeks, we will meet in the forest for hardcore training. You said your max output is 25%, right? Well, let's see if we can make it 50%. Really, that means a lot to me, sir. I want to get as strong as possible. I'm sure you do, especially for the sports festival. It will be your debut to show the world what you can do. All Might then turned into his buff form and said, "Get ready, young Midoriya. For your real training begins after school today. When the festival arrives, you will show the fruits of your training and have the chance to tell the world that I am here." Isn't that your catchphrase, sir? It is more than a catchphrase. It is a way to show people that there is no need to be afraid. Are you willing to live up to those words? Yes, sir. Then meet me after school in the woods, and we shall begin your training. Yes, sir. Deku shook All Might's hand and went to leave the room. When he opened the door, he was surprised to find the blue-haired girl from earlier standing right outside it. Nejire, what are you doing here? How much did you hear? Oh, I didn't hear anything. I was just standing here waiting for you. I have so many questions to ask you, like what's your quirk? How did you get it? How do you sleep with it? She's got interesting questions, doesn't she? Deku thought to himself before saying, Nejire, ask me your questions on the way to my next class. Okay, Izuku, let's hurry up then. Deku and Nejire walked with each other while talking about their quirks and who they are. That's when Nejire asked her biggest question. Izuku, would you be interested in interning for someone I know? Intern? That's not for a couple of weeks. I know, but I wanted to let you know that someone important will be watching you at the festival because I told them about you. If they're impressed with you, then they'll give you an offer. Really? Well, that's good to know. Thanks for telling me. No problem. Nejire said, anyway, I gotta get going. I got my own sports festival to prepare, you know. Yeah, I hope you do well, senpai. Thank you too. And you don't have to call me senpai. Just call me Nejire. But you're 2 grades above me. I suppose to call you that. It's okay, everyone calls me by my name. Okay, well, in that case, you can call me Deku. All my friends do. Really? Nejire began to blush. Well, okay, B. Nejire then tripped on herself and fell on the floor. Are you okay, Nejire? I'm good, she said, getting up anyway. Good luck on the festival. She then walked away while looking a bit embarrassed. When she was almost to class, she took out her phone and called someone. This Tatsuma, I told him, so now you have to go. Very well. A female voice from the other end said. I hope he's as good as you say he is. I'm sure he is, ma'am. The rest of the day went by quickly. However, when it was time to leave, Katsuki went to open the door first, and when he did, the hallway was filled with other students. What do you guys want? Katsuki said. We came to see the class of troublemakers. A blonde-haired boy said with a cocky voice. Troublemakers? Kirishima asked. We got attacked by villains. How is that our fault? Yeah, and we would have all died if it wasn't for Izuku. Toru said, pointing to Deku. Oh, so you're the one who fought the monster. The one who people are starting to call the next All Might. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Nito Monoma. Put it there, he said, holding out his hand. Deku began to raise his hand. That's when Monoma thought, yes, it's working. Once he touches my hand, I'll be able to copy his quirk and see what it does. Just before Deku made contact with him, a girl with orange hair stepped between them and faced Deku. So you're Izuku Midoriya? She asked. Yeah, well, my name is Itsuka Kendo, the class representative of 1B. I heard about what you did, and I'm very impressed. Thanks, that means a lot coming from a class representative. Oh really? Kendo's began to blush. I don't know about that. Hey Kendo, Monoma said behind her, save the fangirling for later. I need to finish introducing myself. You already told him your name, Kendo said, but I didn't shake his hand. You can shake Kaken's hand, please, like I'd touch one extra. Katsuki was about to say something, but before he did, Monoma was hit on the head by a large hand, which turned out to be Kendo's hand. Sorry about him, he forgets his manners sometimes. Your hand is that. Yes, it's my quirk, it's called Big Fist. Cool. Is this really why you all came here to talk with Deku? Katsuki asked. Maybe we did. Or maybe you came here to try to scope out the competition for the sports festival. Well, you all wasted your time. No, out of my way. Katsuki made his way through the crowd. Deku was about to follow but was stopped by a bunch of random girls. Hey, you're Izuku, right? Well, here, take this. A girl with black hair handed him a letter. Deku knew exactly what this meant. Soon a bunch of other girls started handing Deku a letter and tried flirting with him. He managed to get away when a girl with green hair stepped in. Leave Izuku alone. He's trying to go home. Oh, hey, Ibara. Hey, Izuku. What? You know each other? A girl said angrily. So the rumors were right. You have been sitting with him at lunch, trying to get a head start, huh? The girls began to crowd around Ibara. Deku used this to escape. He felt bad leaving her to like that, but he had to get to All Might to begin his training. As he walked to the forest, he called his mom and told her that for the next 2 weeks he was going to come home late because he was gonna do special training. She agreed and Deku met with All Might in his deflated form. Hello, young Midoriya. Ready to begin? As ready as I'll ever be, Deku said with a smirk on his face. All Might quickly turned into his buff form and said then let the training begin. 13 days later, it was sundown. A deflated All Might and Deku were in the forest checking Deku's results. Okay, Midoriya, power up to your max full cowling. Yes, sir. Deku began to charge to his max, and he soon found himself at 50% power. Once he started going over that his body started hurting, he quickly powered down. Very good. Now about your other training. Don't worry, sir. I've been practicing it at home a lot. I used it to help pick things off the floor. Watch. Deku suddenly launched a black tendril from his hands and quickly pulled them back in. Excellent work, Midoriya. Thanks, All Might. Although you should know that I can only use the move when I'm at 5% power. Also, I can't use it for long. I can only use it for about a second. If I go longer, then my arms start to hurt. Interesting. It's still good progress. Also, something I've been wondering. How do you explain this power to people? You can't exactly tell them it's because it was passed down to you. Don't worry, All Might. I just tell them the same thing I tell my mom. That I've learned how to turn my pheromones into solid air energy and can use them to grab things. And people believe you. People will believe everything I say, sir. Deku said with a smirk. I'm sure they do. All jokes aside, you're now ready for the sports festival. I know I am, sir. Then you should go home and get some rest. I will, sir. Thank you for the training. You're welcome. Good luck at the festival. Deku then walked home to find a very happy Inko sitting on the couch. Mom, what's up? Inko rushed Deku and hugged him tightly. Oh baby, I can't wait until tomorrow. Why? Because you get to see me on TV. Even better, I'm gonna see you in person from the crowd. What? I got a call back from your principal and he said I have VIP access. That means I not only get a front row seat, but I get access to the break rooms so I can come see you before and after events. So you can introduce me to all your friends. Inko was jumping with joy. Wow, Mom, that's great, Deku said enthusiastically. He was a little worried about how she would talk to the girls and how the guys would talk to her. But he decided to forget about that and feel happy for her. Well, Mom, we should probably go to bed. Not until after we eat this fresh sushi I made for us. Inko pointed at the table full of all kinds of sushi types. Deku's eyes lit up and he and Inko quickly ate the sushi. After their dinner, Deku said goodnight to his mother and the two went to bed in their own rooms. Deku went to sleep thinking about how he would do at the festival. He needed to give it his absolute best. This was his chance to show everyone what he can do and to get recognized by pros. But most of all, it was his chance to show people that he was here. Deku woke up and ate breakfast. His mom made his favorite breakfast and told him to go on ahead. Aren't we going together? No, I gotta get ready for the festival. It's not a dance, Mom, but I want to look good for when I meet your friends. Really? Deku was worried about how good she meant, but he didn't have time to ask. Okay, Mom, see you there. See you, baby. Deku left the house and instead of going to school, he walked to the stadium where the festival was being held. The stadium was full of civilians and even a few pro heroes. Deku knew that he couldn't hold back here. In the student room, well guys, looks like we have a challenge ahead of us, Uraraka said looking very determined. Wow, Uraraka, Mina said I didn't know you could be so serious. This is my chance to get closer to being a pro, of course I'm serious. Well, I'm glad you are, Uraraka, Deku said. I want all of us to take this seriously. We are gonna be on TV after all. The whole class cheered, but one of them walked up to Deku. It was Todoroki. Izuku, he said, well, I've come to respect you. Today I must show everyone how powerful my ice is. So today, you are my rival. Todoroki is right. It is said, we are all rivals today. I apologize in advance if I hurt any of you, but I must make my family proud. Okay then, Deku said, let's all do our best out there. And by the way, Todoroki, I've come to respect you as well. I don't think you can beat me, but you're welcome to try. Todoroki got a determined look on his face and walked away. Kirishima, watching from the side, thought to himself, seeing the two strongest students go against each other will be one hell of a show. Present mic was then heard on the speakers. Class 1A, please make your way to the field. The class then left the room and went to the open field. When they arrived, they were surrounded by cheering people and other first-year students. Yo yo yo, welcome everyone to the UA Sports Festival. I'm your host, Present Mike. And here is your co-host, Eraserhead. The crowd cheered for them, but Eraserhead just sat there looking tired. Come on, Eraserhead, aren't you happy to be here? The only reason I'm here is because I drew the short straw. Let's just get this thing over with. Well, happy to be here with you too, Present Mike said sarcastically. Anyway, let's get this rockin' festival started. Here to announce the first event. You know her, you love her, especially if you're man. It's the R-rated heroine, Midnight. The stadium began to cheer but calmed down when a whip was cracked. Everyone looked to see it was Midnight. There were wolf whistles and cheers, especially from the male audience. Midnight told them to stop, and when they did, she spoke into the mic. Hello everyone, welcome to the sports festival. We have a lot of exciting events in store for you. But before we begin, we will hear an opening speech from Class 1A President and my favorite student, Izukumidoriya. Deku walked up to the stage, all while ignoring the cold stares he was getting from many of the male students. He figured he would have to say something at the festival, so he prepared the perfect speech. Hello everyone, my name is Izuku, and like many people here, I want to be a pro hero. That's why I'm going to give it my absolute best today, and I hope everyone else does the same. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can all do, so let's give it our all, go beyond plus ultra. The stadium was filled with cheers. Even the students cheered for him. Deku went back to his class and was praised for his speech. Excellent work, Midoriya. Ida said. Yeah, it almost makes me want to let you win the festival. Kirishima said jokingly. Oh, you better not do that, Kirishima. If I'm gonna win, I want everyone to do their best. Deku raised his fist in the air. That's when Midnight announced the first event, a race. Everyone get to the starting line and wait for my signal, Midnight said, and everyone made their way to the stadium gate, where they would run 4 kilometers and encounter obstacles. Deku was ready though. He decided that he wouldn't hold back on this event or any events. Once everyone was lined up, Deku powered up to 50% full cowling and got in a starting position. Midnight then said ready, set, go. As she cracked her whip, the race began with Todoroki creating an ice wall and freezing the floor in order to block the competition. This worked on most of them, but a few managed to overcome this attack. Katsuki used his quirk to make himself fly over the ice. Yaoyorozu was able to make a shield to break through the ice, and surprisingly Minda was able to use his sticky balls to get over the wall and walk over the ice. Todoroki continued to move forward until he was confronted by large robots. They were 0-pointer robots from the entrance exams. Oops, Present Mike said over the speakers. Did I forget to mention the first obstacle of the race is some 0-pointers we had in storage? Oh well, better late than never, right? Present Mike laughed. As much as I hate your laughter, I gotta say that was pretty funny. Eraserhead said. Wow, that was almost a compliment. Present Mike laughed, and Eraserhead just put his head down. Out of the way, icy hot, Katsuki shouted as he passed him and tried to attack the robots. However, Todoroki quickly made an ice wall and froze the robots in place. He then went around the robots, and Katsuki went rushing after him, shouting, "Get back here. No one steals my thunder and gets away with it." The 2 lead students keep moving until they got to a canyon. It looked bottomless, and the only way across were the platforms connected by wires. At least that was the case for the other students. Huh, is this the best they can do? Katsuki said as he began to fly over the canyon. Have fun in second place, icy hot. Don't get too cocky, Bakugo, Todoroki said. And he began to make an ice path for him to walk across the gaps in the canyon. The 2 soon got to the other side, leaving the other students to get across in their own ways. The 2 leaders soon reached the last obstacle, a minefield. Careful boys, Present Mike said. Those mines won't do any fatal damage, but they can probably stun you enough to come in last place. Are you trying to scare them? Eraserhead said. Why is it working? Present Mike. You could tell someone that they were gonna die, and they still wouldn't get scared because of that annoying voice of yours. Okay, can you keep your comments related to the race, please? Present Mike said. I don't have time for this, Todoroki said. Then he made an ice path across the field so he could run across it without triggering the mines. Oh no, you don't, icy hot, Katsuki shouts as he begins to fly over the field with his explosion. The 2 rush over the mines and dash toward the finish line while the other students are barely finishing the second obstacle. Todoroki and Katsuki push themselves as hard as they can. In the end, Todoroki crosses first. Todoroki just stands there completely ignoring Katsuki screaming at him in anger. When the rest of the students arrive, they congratulate Todoroki on getting first. Well, there it is, folks. The winner of the race is Shoto Todoroki. Now let's start the knee. Present Mike is then cut off by Midnight. Hold on. Why is he the winner when he didn't even finish first? What? Eraserhead asked. What are you talking? Eraserhead stopped when he noticed someone resting their head on Midnight's lap while she was feeding him grapes. Everyone's eyes went wide. It was Deku. Wait, Todoroki said, confused. Midoriya, why didn't you participate in the race? I did participate. I also won, Deku said with a smirk. That can't be. Todoroki said, I didn't see you during the race. None of us did. Minta said, perhaps you should all see the footage. Midnight said. She then signaled Present Mic to play the race footage. The video played and zoomed in on Deku. When the race began, Deku vanished from the spot he was on. The camera then moved to the finish line. And a few seconds later, Deku reappeared across the line and walked toward Midnight's podium. Everyone was bewildered. They were all so focused on the race that they completely missed the person who got first place. And no way, Kirishima said. Oh dear, Izuku managed to run 4 kilometers in mere moments. Yuga said. Oh, how could anyone be that fast? Yaoyorozu said. Pretty simple, really. Deku said, let me explain. Deku's flashback. Deku powered up to full cowling 50%, and when the signal was given, he ran as fast as he could. He ran past the 0 pointers so fast he didn't notice them. When he got to the canyon, he simply leaped over the whole thing in one bound. When he got to the minefield, he ran across it so fast that he didn't even make them explode. He then crossed the finish line and realized that everyone else was barely out of the gate. Oh, did I overdo it a little? Oh well, I'll just wait with Ms. Midnight. Present Mic saw the finish line sensor go off and was shocked to see Deku standing there. What? How? Him and Eraserhead then played the race footage and it checked out. Oh my god. Ladies and gentlemen, with a recorded breaking score of 13 seconds, Izuku Midoriya is the winner of the race. Rockin'. The crowd cheered at the top of their lungs as Deku walked over to Midnight's podium, and before she could say anything, he spoke up. Ms. Midnight, I completed the race a bit too early. Can I wait here with you? Sure, and again please call me Nimuri. Now put your head on my lap. No thanks. Do it or I'll tell everyone you cheated and you'll be disqualified. Okay. Deku rested his hard on her lap reluctantly. Do you like grapes? She asked. Flashback ends. And that's what happened, Deku said, finishing his story. After a few moments of silence, Present Mic finally spoke up. Well, there it is, folks. With a record-breaking time, the real winner of the first event is Izukumidoriya. The crowd goes wild, especially Deku's classmates. They all rush up to congratulate him. Wow, Deku, Uraraka said, you're amazing. She began to get a little too close. Thanks, Uraraka. She's right, Deku. Yaoyorozu said, you really are amazing. Yeah, thanks, Yaoyorozu. Deku's face went red and he quickly turned away. Yaoyorozu was confused. That's when she felt a breeze on her chest. She looked down and realized she unbuttoned her shirt earlier to use her quirk, and it was still unbuttoned. She screamed. I'm sorry, Yaoyorozu. No, Deku, don't be sorry. Honestly, I don't mind being exposed, especially around you, she said almost seductively. They were too busy to notice they were both getting cold stares from both male and female students. But before anyone could say anything, Midnight spoke up. Okay, time to announce the second event, a cavalry battle. The top 42 students will team up in groups of 4 people at most. They will then try to nab the headbands of other teams in order to get the most points. Last place has 5 points and each place above is 5 points more, except for first place, who has 10 million points. And if your team loses your headbands or falls over, you can still continue. You'll all have a 30-minute time limit to gain as many points as you can. The top 4 teams will move on to the last questions. No? Then start making your teams. You only have 15 minutes. 10 million. Deku thinks you himself. Now everyone is gonna come for me. How am I gonna get a? Hey Deku, a voice from behind him said. It was Mina with Ochako. You want to be on our team? What, you want? Hey Deku, want to join my team? Yaoyorozu asked from beside him. Hey, you're Izuku, right? A pink-haired girl said. Yeah, who are you? My name is Meihatsu. I'm amazed at the power you've displayed so far. I was wondering if you would allow me to be on your team. Well, hey, back off, girl. We asked him first. Mina snapped. Well, I asked him the nicest, so he will definitely choose me. Me snapped back. If he's going to choose anyone, it's me. Yaoyorozu said to all of them. Right, Deku. Deku. They looked to see that he was gone, long gone even. Guess we came on too strong. Ochako said. Deku walked away from them, but not long after he was cornered by more people asking him to join their team, some even begging. Deku knew this had to be because of his pheromones, but he didn't have time to deal with this. This probably meant that everyone would go after him in a heartbeat, so he needed to find a team fast. Deku then realized that he didn't need a strong team. He figured his power alone could probably win the battle. So he searched around for anyone who looked available, and he found the person just in time. Really, Izuku? Minta asked. You want me to be your teammate? Yeah, I mean it's not like anyone else is gonna choose you, especially the girls. Deku said, being brutally honest. You're right. But this is my chance to change that. How? By teaming up with you, everyone will think we're close friends or something. And since all the girls like you, then they'll start liking me as well. Mineta said with a pervy smile. Deku wanted to tell him it wouldn't work out like that, but he didn't want to lose his chance of having him as a teammate. Sure, great idea, Mineta, Deku said flatly. Deku now had his teammate and explained to him that he would be the rider while Deku is the horse, then announced that time was up and the battle was about to begin. The two got to their position and waited for midnight to give the signal.